Look at that. We've got a hype train I'm not even on yet. Look at that. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the show. I'm HAL Sparks. This is HAL Sparks Mega Worldwide, the show that fearlessly gauges into the raging shit volcano of the... see, I swore right out of the gate. Now I'm going to get demonetized because I said a word that was a comic punchline in 1975. That stares right into the shit volcano that is right-wing mythology. And I want to welcome you to the show. If it's your first time here, I don't know where the hell you've been. And if it's not, and this is your regular hang, I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. Hi, everybody. Welcome. Join in, settle in, simmer down, relax, kick your shoes off, find a beverage of some sort. I have a baseball. I don't know why this is. Oh, I know why this is. This is the baseball I threw out wearing my Zoltan jersey for the Pittsburgh Pirates. I was just trying to find a thing to put it on. Oh my gosh. It's magic. So let's go. Yeah, no mustache. I'm clean shaven. It's true. Back to that. I hope you guys can deal. YouTube just never suggested me before. Well, that's relatively new. You know, we've got 35,000 subscribers now, which is, you know, compared to a lot of the other stations I'm up against, is a pittance. It's pitiful. But compared to the fact that we couldn't, remember when we used to scrap for 5,000 kids? I remember that. And now look at you. Here you are. Oh, your Z hoodie arrived. Excellent. Your Zoltan hoodie. By the way, these NFTs are available at my Teespring store. Get it? It's an NFT shirt. Now you can own your very own NFT without even knowing what the fucking NFT is. I even had this one made so that I could send it to my dad's friend who noticed. He's one of the first people, Sam Bush, who we love dearly, the greatest mandolin player ever. Yeah. Noticed my shirt and got it right away. Yep, 35.3. We're at 35,300K and we're growing leaps and bounds. Here comes 100,000. Help me get that little silver button. I know there's tons of like streamers that take that thing for granted. Not me. By God, I'm going to have like an Oscar acceptance speech. I'm going to green screen myself at the Oscars when I get my 100,000 subscriber button. Just saying, it's going to happen. Yes, it's totally nerd humor. And I have to say, as nerd humor goes, can I just say for the record, I was telling Summer this earlier. How did nobody else come up with this shirt? How did nobody else think of this? Like there are some times when I think of a joke and I'm like, that's genius. And other times I think of a joke and I'm like, that's so simple. Yeah, I must be the 37,000th person. Easy there, Tiger, 50K first. You know what I'm talking about. The fact that I was the first person, and I think maybe the only person to make actual NFT shirts when this shit came out is kind of stunning to me. I'm just saying. Hold on. Which reminds me. Oof. By the way, did you guys watch The Verdict? Saw it coming. Told ya. Let's see. Where's this? There's the videos. Into the live. Here is me. We're going to see if I can. I don't even know if I can monetize my stream. It's very hard to tell. Save. Should be able to do it. And then, will I think about it? Can I do it? Yes, I'm limited in my monetization, but that's a start. Sure, why not? And then, of course, let me go into my studio. Whoops. Here we go. And see, I'm never fully monetized because not only because I use naughty grown-up words, but also because let's see, hold on. Merchandise. I'm gonna see if I can put up one of my NFTs. Search. Whoops. There you go. Unisex. Yeah, here you go. Dump. There's the NFT shirts. Now you can own an NFT and not even give a shit whether you have an NFT, because as ridiculous as these things are, I think that's a solid joke. I'm sticking with it. Ta-da! All right, now it's in the chat room on YouTube. Also, I've got them on the store on Twitch as well. Twitch.tv/HalSparks. Don't forget to subscribe. Add to our number. Look at that, 979. We've dropped below 1,000 again. Womp womp. Okay, enough. I'm trying to get better at this whole like opening sales pitch, and I'm terrible at it. So I'm working on it, just one step at a time. Speaking of people who are terrible at things, ladies and gentlemen, if I may, one of the single biggest jackhole on Fox News, Tucker Carlson, the guy who employed a white supremacist who used anti-gay and racist language and anti-Semitic language in chat rooms under a pseudonym for a long time, and supposedly Tucker didn't know. The dude he hung out with the most at work had no idea he was on this thing and under this name. Okay, so Tucker Carlson tonight, and this is interesting. This is why this video stuck out to me, because Tucker's usually very boring. And tonight will probably be no different. But the title of this stuck out to me. Tucker, this is a power grab. See that part? This is a power grab. Now, the reason it stuck out to me was because I was like, that sounds familiar. Was that the title of and this is today, this is May 30, or yesterday, this is May 31st, 1 million views of this video already, 1 million. 9 million subscribers to Fox News and 1 million active viewers on Tucker. Now, that's very possibly a fake number, but that's okay. 47,000 thumbs ups to 1 million views. That seems strange. That's a little off. By the way, like and subscribe, give a thumbs up, support the show. I would like those numbers to match out because you are actually real people. But here's why this shit stuck out to me. I just did a quick hunt. This is today's, 20 hours ago, Tucker, this is a power grab. Tucker calls Elizabeth Warren's latest plan to make herself more powerful. House proxy voting rule has become a Pelosi power grab. And this was just a random Democrats doing anything to say power. They use the word power a lot. Bruce, extreme left is unleashing most diabolical power grab in history. DC about creating Stephen Miller warns Americans this is the biggest power grab we've ever seen. Power grabby, power grabby, power. And then Tim Pool on big tech's power grab. This is a fairly common refrain. It's always about grabbing them by the power. I grabbed the power, and I grabbed the power, and okay. Sorry, I'm being stupid. But just to prepare you for this. Now, again, this is 15 minutes long. If it gets boring, we'll bail out. But this is more than likely, judging from the timing on this, this says, Fox News host reacts to the politicization of the Texas school shooting on Tucker Carlson tonight. By the way, for the record, as a Democrat, I'm here to tell you I'm in no way, when I talk about guns, politicizing the Uvalde shooting. I am politicizing 5 shootings ago. Just always assume that the things I'm asking for as far as gun reform and and registration changes and who can get a gun and who can't, and all that kind of, like, all my reactions are knee-jerk, immediate reactions to things that happened 3.5 years ago. This is assume that I'm actually reacting, to that, not the most recent one. Because the assumption is we're always reacting to the last one, even though we haven't been able to do fuck all about the rest of them because of all the Republicans in power. Vote, people vote.
Welcome to Tucker Carlson tonight.
I don't feel welcome. Maybe it's just me.
It was a week ago today that a deranged teenager called Salvador Ramos murdered 19 children and 2 teachers in an...
Did he do one? Hold on. I don't know, but weighs in on the Buffalo Shooter's final take on Democrats discussing points out President Biden used race politics to capitalize. He also...
Good evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson. Tonight there was a horrifying, we're sad to tell you, a horrifying amount of violence in the United States over the weekend, as increasingly there is. Over just 2 days, at least 104 Americans were shot to death in major American cities. That's a lot. How many? Well, for
By the way, this is how he led off the Buffalo shooting thing. I did a search on Tucker Carlson Buffalo shooting. The idea is whatever. Yeah, sure. Racist cited Tucker Carlson in his reason for murdering a bunch of older black people in a grocery store, and he specifically cited Tucker's theory about the Great Replacement and all that kind of shit. But when you can't just dive right into that if you're name checked in the dude's manifesto. You know what I mean? You got to ease into it by saying crime is happening all over the place. Also, today he's wearing a Don Jr. adjacent shirt. Apparently, this is part of the uniform, though. He's in a checks pattern thing.
Elementary school in Texas. You know this because we've had 7 days of full saturation coverage, and it's all.
Yeah, you only know about the shooting because the news just won't leave it the fuck alone. That's why, not because it's newsworthy.
All deserved. Given that, it's amazing what we still don't know about what happened that day.
It's a mystery. What happened?
Let's start, just because it's the most obvious, with how the shooter could possibly have afforded the firearms he used. Salvador Ramos was...
Yes, that's the problem. Guns are too cheap in the United States, and Tucker's here to do something about it. I'm kidding. It's the only loan you can get in that part of Texas.
He's 18 years old. He worked part-time at the drive-thru at a local Wendy's. Yet police say he had at least $4,000 of brand new weapons.
Gee, it's almost like if you add that up, most loaners can afford that with pocket change.
Including 2 AR-15 rifles, 1,600 rounds of .556 ammunition, a ballistic vest, and 60 magazines. One of Ramos's rifles was a high-end model manufactured by a company called Daniel Defense.
Yeah, that's the one he actually used to murder everybody there.
According to a receipt that Ramos posted in a private message, that gun cost...
Oh, I didn't realize you were sharing your private DMs with him, Tucker.
$2,000, and he paid in full. Now, Ramos could have bought effectively the very same rifle at any gun store for a third of the cost. But apparently, to Ramos, price was no object. That's pretty weird.
Yeah, it's so weird. It's almost as if gun nuts pride themselves on buying top-of-the-line gun thing. Oh, Andrea, thank you so much. A 666 super chat as soon as Tucker Carlson's face arrives. What a joy.
If police know where Ramos got the money to buy one of the most expensive AR-15s on the market, they're not telling us.
I'm assuming his job?
Nor, for that matter, have they explained why they lied about the most basic facts of the shooting. For the first 24 hours, they told us that a school resource officer fired at the gunman. He, quote, engaged Ramos. But they must have known at the time they said it that that was not true. They must know the resource officer was not even at the school when Ramos arrived. But they told us
yeah, Texas tends to lie about these things.
Otherwise. Why'd they do that?
Because they wanted to make it appear as though they were already handling something they don't really give a rat's ass about.
And by the way, how long was Ramos outside the school firing his gun at people at a nearby funeral home before he went inside and killed children?
I don't know, it's Texas. At this point, how do you even have a funeral without somebody shooting at you?
That seems like a fairly simple question.
Yeah, ask Greg Abbott.
Certainly an important question.
Yeah, in a blue state, you'd have somebody tell you right away.
Last week, authorities told us that Ramos was outside the school for 10 to 12 minutes. Here's the claim.
We got a crash and a man with a gun. And then you have responding officers. That's what it is. If it's 12 minutes, from 11:30 to 11:40, that's the information we have.
12 minutes from 11:30 to 11:40. That's the information we have. Quote, but that information is clearly wrong because 11:30 to 11:40
is 10 minutes. Who gives a shit? He's making a point that they made the crash happened, and then 10 minutes later, some people are saying 12. That's the information we have. Like, this is mincing words.
It's not 10 minutes. The timeline matters. So what's the real timeline? Well, on Friday...
Here's the timeline. He checked himself in for a psych eval and stayed overnight in a mental institution 2 years ago. And 2 years ago should have been denied the ability to buy a gun as soon as he turned 18.
The director of Texas DPS came up with a brand new timeline. Here it is.
11:28. The suspect vehicle crashes into the ditch.
See, that's where the guy said 11:30 versus 11:28. For fuck's sake.
As previously described, the teacher runs to the room 132 to retrieve a phone, and that same teacher walks back to the exit door, and door remains propped open. At 11:33, the suspect begins shooting into room 111 or 112. It's not possible to determine from the video angle that we have at this point in time.
So actually, and that was the director of public safety
in Texas.
Texas.
In Texas, right. Greg Abbott's Texas. Donald Trump's, you know, how are the Democrats ever going to win here if they're against God, guns, and oil? That, you mean that state?
It was only 5 minutes that Ramos was outside shooting at people. Okay. But here's the key takeaway from that statement. Here's what
clearly this is all a conspiracy by the Texas safety director and Greg Abbott and the fucking Texas Rangers. I don't know. Will you bring on Chuck Norris and ask him?
They want you to believe. The back door to the school was open because a teacher at the school left it open after going outside to retrieve a phone. So it's the teacher's fault that Ramos was able to get inside. That's what they said on Friday. But this too appears to be untrue.
Or a mistake. Or they were going on the information they had at the fucking time. And again, what do we know about the most recent shooters that we've had? That 50% of them quoted Tucker Carlson. How about that? The two biggest shooters we've had, half of them quoted Tucker Carlson. Which one is he spending more of his time on? The one with a Hispanic name, who was born, I think, in Iowa.
The Houston Chronicle is reporting tonight that surveillance footage of the school shows that the teacher slammed the door after running back inside. And
so the teacher wasn't at fault.
Of course, that would make sense, since by this point, Ramos was firing his rifle, and that same teacher was using the phone in question to make a panicked call to 911. No one disputes that. So why did the authorities tell us otherwise?
Because they didn't know from the surveillance footage that they had who was who, or whether or not that door fully closed, or how he got inside at that time. And the only footage they had, more than likely, was that there was a door. Oh, fuck. Yeah, the door didn't lock. And who gives a fuck? Honestly. Anything but blame the gun that the dude had. That he could afford, even with a part-time job, to buy anti-personnel weapons. An AR-15 is a pipe bomb you can use over and over again.
And for that matter, why did they initially deny that the on-scene police commander ordered cops to stand down and remain outside as children were being shot to death inside the school?
That's something you would have to ask the governor of Texas, who, if it was a Democratic governor, you would be raining hot hell down on them, asking for them to step down. Not just them, every Democratic legislator. If this was California, if this was fucking Illinois, for that matter, with a mixed bag of people, everybody has to go. Michigan, for fuck's sake. They'd be like, oh, well, fucking abduct her then.
On Thursday, a spokesman for Texas DPS called that account a rumor, quote. But there was videotape to show that it was true. It actually happened. So the next day, forced by the videotape, Texas DPS admitted.
Not forced. He heard the rumor, and then he saw the tape. Again, what the fuck?
True. Watch.
What efforts were the officers making to try and break through either that door or another door, get inside that classroom?
None at that time.
Why?
The on-scene commander at the time believed that it had transitioned from an active shooter to a barricaded subject.
Sir, you have people who are alive, children who are calling 911 saying, please send the police. They are alive in that classroom. There are lives that are at risk.
Hey, we're well aware of that. Obviously.
Obviously, this is Texas. And somebody walking around on school grounds, armed to the teeth in a bulletproof vest, is not at all weird. I mean, that's what gym teachers wear down here. It's, you know, you're in macho land. And in macho land, we wear macho clothes and do macho things. And one of the things we like to do and like to see done and like to watch people do is wander around elementary school parking lots and across the lawn with an AR-15 and enough rounds and magazines to kill everybody there, like a human dose of fentanyl. You know what I mean?
You know, based upon the information we have, there were children in that classroom that were at risk, and it was, in fact, still an active shooter situation and not a barricaded subject.
But that's not really an explanation, of course, because
he's getting information from people who were covering their ass. And again, if the dude had a revolver, this would be less of a problem. If the dude had been red flagged once he had accumulated a certain amount of ammo, this would have limited this. They would have been aware, like, hey, that's the fucking guy you guys did a door knock on who's got 1,600 rounds of ammunition and has written a bunch of shit that he's going to shoot up a school. That's why.
Because no one disputes that everyone on the scene, including police, knew that Ramos had weapons, was firing them at people to kill people, and was inside the school with children. No one disputes that. So why did heavily armed police units decide not to stop Salvador Ramos?
I think you should interview Greg Abbott. Fish stinks from the head. Leadership of the state can speak out about this, and he's in charge of this. He apparently, well, I'm kidding. I'm fucking with you. Obviously, it's Kamala Harris's fault.
From executing children. Now, it's not finger pointing to ask that question. These are very complicated circumstances. People are under immense pressure. People make mistakes. But
I'm trying to drag this out and make it look like the last person responsible is the asshole who sold this clearly insane person a gun. And the rules that allow somebody who's voluntarily committed themselves because they are having fantasies about harming themselves and others can still buy a gun as soon as they turn fucking 18.
We are making long-term policy decisions based on the specifics of what happened last week.
No, they aren't. No one's making long-term policy decisions on what local cops' engagement rules are.
Week in Uvalde, politicians across this country are calling for militarizing America's elementary schools.
Excuse me, Republicans are asking to arm teachers. Politicians aren't. Republicans are.
And yet they can't answer why the military force effectively outside this elementary school refused to stop the killing.
Why don't you interview the Republican elected official that oversees the district?
So this massacre could have been prevented at some point.
Yeah, it could have at some point. Like before this asshole was able to buy guns of that size and that capacity and all those magazines and all that ammo without triggering a red flag at all, considering he had voluntarily committed himself after fantasies of hurting himself and others.
And why was that?
Because you and assholes like you don't give a rat fuck. Don't care. Think that this is, you can't make an omelet without shooting up some elementary schools, and that's just the life. That's what it is.
We should know the answer, but don't hold your breath. No one in power seems anxious to hold themselves accountable for what happened in Uvalde.
No one in power? It's Texas, motherfucker.
And amazingly, and this is so perverse it's hard to believe it's true, but it is, some seem determined to make future school shootings more likely. In California, the state assembly just voted to end the requirement, the long-standing requirement that was put in place after school shootings, that schools alert law enforcement when students, quote, attack, assault, or physically threaten school officials.
California bill could make shootings more likely.
That's no longer in place.
No, it's not.
And according to the Democratic Party, that's a win for equity. We know this because the sponsor of the bill, a California state senator called Stephen Bradford, said so. Here's what he told the Daily Caller, quote, Black students, Latinx students, students of color, and students with disabilities are disproportionately referred to law enforcement, cited, and arrested, end quote. So too many Latinx students in wheelchairs apparently are being blamed for school shootings, so there's no more violence reporting in California.
No, that's not the same thing. If anybody who threatens to blow up the school or shoot up the school is going to get reported. They're talking about regular, like, in-class fighting or teachers saying that anybody who screams is threatening violence. That's not even fucking related.
Schools. At all.
At all.
So how does that help?
No, not at all.
Prevent the next school shooting.
Leaders are using this tragedy to amass more power. It doesn't sound like it. It sounds like, according to you, that they just gave that power away and nobody has the right to call in violence of any. Like, fuck off.
Well, of course it doesn't.
Well, of course not. Nothing you've said so far makes any fucking sense.
But it's starting to seem like helping prevent school shootings is not really the point of this exercise. Amassing more power is the point.
Well, if that amassed power doesn't stop the actual shootings, you're not going to have that power for very long, one would think.
And we know this from what's happening north of us. Canada's Botox dictator, Justin Trudeau, wasted no time in using the tragedy in the
I don't know if you want to say Botox dictator that loud in Fox News headquarters. I mean, besides Gutfeld and Janine walking on their way to shoot the 5, or walking home from it, I don't know what fucking time you tape this, or anybody who's on Fox and Friends, I'm guessing the executives there are big on this stuff.
U.S. to his own political advantage in Canada.
Yeah, different rules, different constitution, doesn't fucking matter, unrelated. Also, Australia doesn't have these fucking problems. Norway doesn't have these fucking problems. UK doesn't have these fucking problems.
Now, Uvalde is more than 2,000 miles from Ottawa. But because of what Salvador Ramos was allowed to do in Texas, Canadians are no longer allowed to protect themselves.
From who? Sure they are. Canadians can protect themselves. They have an entire legal system set up to protect themselves against unlawful search and seizures, close to what we have down here. Any like undue arrest or anything like that. They've got an entire system set up for them to have representation at the state's expense, to push back against those things if they can't afford their own help. Yeah, they just can't shoot a Mountie because they don't feel like being asked questions at a traffic stop.
Justin Trudeau has introduced a bill that would ban Canadian citizens from buying, selling, and transferring handguns within their own country.
So what? It's Canada. I give a fuck.
Again, handguns were not the cause of the shooting in Uvalde.
No, but they're the majority of the border shootings that happen around them, namely near Detroit and the Canadian border there. That's their biggest concern. You can't buy AR-15s up there. That when they do have shootings, it's because of that.
Uvalde's nowhere near Canada.
So what? It's also way close to Mexico, so I don't know why you're not blaming this on the cartels.
And yet, Justin Trudeau is using that tragedy
to respond to the needs of his constituents in a way that reflects the values of the Canadian people by and large.
To disarm anyone who disagrees with him.
Dude, he doesn't even buy this shit. Look at like he's reading this for the first time.
By the way, that law would empower courts to confiscate guns.
Confiscate
from people, even if they've not committed a crime.
Right, if they buy them illegally.
Watch Justin Trudeau announce this power grab, and as you do watch, pay special attention.
Also, by the way, Tucker, this is a power grab. We're talking about Canadian rules. They don't have the same rights we do. They don't.
To the masked toadies behind him nodding in unison.
We're introducing legislation to implement a national freeze on handgun ownership.
By the way, I think the Botox thing came out, or the Botox slam that Tucker made, is largely because I have to say Trudeau is looking on point these days. He's annoyingly and blazingly handsome.
What this means is that it will no longer be possible to buy, sell, transfer, or import handguns anywhere in Canada. In other words, we're capping the market for handguns.
Yeah, if you've got them, you can keep them. If you don't, you can't. By the way, this isn't that different from the UK. As far as I know, they still got the Queen and geese on their fucking money.
What's actually happening here is that people like Justin Trudeau know that their rule is illegitimate. They know
No, they don't.
perfectly well how resented they are, and
What, by you? You're not a fucking Canadian. Who cares?
they spend an awful lot of time thinking about civil unrest. You probably don't.
I don't think a lot about civil unrest. You're right. You're right. I don't. Especially civil unrest in Canada.
You live in a democracy, so you don't imagine that anyone needs to be disarmed for political reasons. But people.
Well, he's not disarming people for political reasons. It's for public safety reasons. Any self-defense situation you find yourself in Canada, if you can't handle it with a shotgun or a rifle, you're probably the problem.
People like Justin Trudeau can feel the deep resentment aimed at them.
It's an emotional thing. It's because he's such a girl, isn't it? It's a girly thing. It's because he's all female and feminine and female, girly, girl-like, that he has these feelings.
And they are.
Yeah, Canadian unrest. Sorry about smashing your window. I'm fixing it right now. Sorry. We got a little out of control last night after the hockey game.
Fully intent on disarming the population.
Sorry.
Now, we reached out to Justin Trudeau's office today about this new law. We wanted to know if Trudeau will apply these laws to himself. That's always the first and most important test of sincerity.
Yes, is Justin Trudeau giving up all of his crazy handguns, that silver-plated Colt that has the Cobra on the handle that he carries everywhere?
If it's good for me, it ought to be good for you too. And
by the way, he means, like, did he disarm his security? No, because those are state-appointed people who are dealing with threats for people who break outside the law, not average citizens in that regard.
Vice versa. So, in this case, will Justin Trudeau's state-funded bodyguards be released?
Right. No, because they're state-funded bodyguards of a head of state. Because Canada doesn't want their fucking head of state assassinated, asshole.
Relinquishing their handguns. And how?
No.
But they're banned AR-15s. But of course, we're not allowed to know the answer to that question because he.
No, I'll give you the answer. No, they're not. It's totally different.
He's in power and we're not. Quote.
Yes, he's in power in Canada, and you're not even a Canadian fucking citizen.
We do not comment on matters related to the Prime Minister's security, his office responded. Meaning, of course not. Justin Trudeau isn't that stupid.
Also, how the fuck did we get from a Texas school shooting to Canadian security for the Prime Minister? This is some of the laziest pushback I have ever fucking seen. It's childish beyond measure, but it's also just, like, I guess they're praying for the ignorance of their viewers. That's what they do up there in Canada, man. They just run the whole place like a dictatorship. You know what I mean? It's like they're almost a quasi-monarchy or something.
He's going to continue to protect his own family.
Right. Because he's the head of a state that's, in this case, helping Ukraine defend itself and therefore might be a target for assassination by the Russians and others.
Not going to be allowed to protect yours in Canada.
Well, no, you've got Mounties that will protect you and yours. You can have a rifle and you can have a shotgun. You just can't carry a handgun hidden in public because what's the fucking point?
Now, here in the United States, as always, Democrats are watching very carefully.
Power grab. The donkey and a confused Joe Biden.
What Trudeau is up to as they plan our future here.
I see. Yes, we're all taking our cues from Justin Trudeau.
And
our leaders never let a tragedy go to waste.
Already the rhetoric of the Democratic Party has changed for years. Democrats, Joe Biden, his supporters, the media have talked about banning AR-15s, the so-called weapons of war, which are not in fact used by any military.
Well, no, they're anti-personnel weapons. Again, an AR-15 is a pipe bomb that you can reuse. You can reload it and aim it at another group of school kids or feral pigs, I guess, whatever your fancy is.
Weapons of war have been their focus. Watch.
The venom of the haters and their weapons of war.
Assault-style weapons that are weapons of war.
And purchase these weapons of war.
To get these weapons of war.
Finally ridding our streets of weapons of war.
Yeah, largely they're talking about magazine capacity, fucko. If you need an AR-15 to shoot feral pigs, get a secondary license for one. Create a separate category for them. But if you live in a suburb, I'm guessing the feral pigs you're going to shoot are either going to be police officers or your fucking neighbors or a bunch of toddlers nearby.
What we should be doing is taking these weapons of war out of the hands of civilians.
Because they see what these weapons of war do on the street.
An assault weapon is a weapon of war.
Also, important distinction, she's saying assault weapon. If you're saying the AR-15 isn't an assault weapon. And by the way, AR and AR-15 stands for abortion rifle. It's assault rifle.
With no place in a civil society.
They wouldn't know what end the bullet comes out of. They know.
You don't think so? Fucko, she was an AG. She was a DA. Of course she knows more about guns than you do, fucko. They all know how to shoot. They all have gun training.
Know nothing about this topic.
No, what they know is that you don't need that many fucking bullets for self-defense. And if you do, it's because you're defending yourself against police officers serving a lawful warrant in a system where you get free representation if you can't afford it. So there's no reason to fucking murder the cops rather than just get arrested and go through the process. So you can sue them later for unlawful detention.
They don't even know the basic crime stats. In the United
Well, the basic crime stats are that most gun deaths happen because of handguns, and the concern that they have about these mass shootings is that they do happen more often with extended magazine rifles, like the AR-15 or other versions of the AR-15.
United States rifles kill fewer people every year than.
Yeah, but they do them in huge chunks and randomly. Because if you pair them against, I don't like Dave, Dave doesn't like me, bang, bang, Dave and I are shooting at each other, that's not a concern for most people who don't know me or Dave. They don't give a rat fuck. But if you're at the grocery store, now you got to worry about, is some asshole going to wander in with enough magazines to hold off the police in the fucking parking lot for hours while they kill everyone?
Than fists or knives do. There's no effort afoot to ban knives or fists.
Because you can't, because that's a part of someone's body, and knives kill more people 1-to-1. Again, in none of these situations has a knife ever traveled through a wall and a block away, or through a wall in a porch and killed a kid in their fucking bed. It's about getting on with natural life. You're never going to outlaw criminality, but the rest of us should be able to we should be in a situation where we can make a value judgment about where we are and how safe we will be, and not have to go, fuck, I'm going to Target, wonder if today's the day some nutcase with a grudge against the world decides, this Target will be the one I shoot up.
But weapons of war have long been their focus, meaning AR-15s.
Right. Because that's the one that interrupts regular life.
The single most popular self-defense rifle.
No, nobody defends themselves with an AR-15. No, the single most popular self-defense weapon is probably a Glock, and it's probably one with 9 bullets in it. And it doesn't have a one of those gadgets on the back of it that turns it full automatic. It doesn't have a fucking drum magazine, and it doesn't require like a 30 round magazine extender on it. That's the most common. Hold on. Let's look it up. Hold on. Most common gun used in self-defense shootings. Let's see. Let's see, which, I'm trying to find the actual model. Gun used in national service. Guns are used throughout AR-15, what it is, what it can do. There you go. Now, here's weapons used in mass shootings in the United States between 1982 and May 2022 by number of weapons and incidents. Shotguns, the lowest. Rifles, handguns. Now, the reason is number of weapons used, 146. Number of incidents, 98. The number of incidents, number of weapons. Okay, so that's what you're seeing here. Rifles, this is the AR-15, 59 and 51. Much tighter number, interestingly enough. So you need more of them. Yeah, okay. Guns used in mass shootings, 82 to 22. And by the way, it kind of matters now. Is there a time on this that I can shorten this? Let's see. Show source additional information. No, I don't need that. Get out of here. Let's see. Add this kind of... Yeah, because in handguns, you're going to see like 3 people shot. Anything over 3 people is considered a mass shooting. 3 to 4 victims. Let's see. Involvement of semi-automatic rifles in mass shootings. Owing to their use in several high-profile mass shootings, there has been much public discussion over suitability or necessity of assault weapons for the purpose of self-defense. While any definition of assault weapon is contentious, semi-automatic rifles are generally the main focus of debates around this issue. Since 1985, there has been a known total of 50 mass shootings involving rifles, mostly semi-automatics. That's the AR-15. This figure is underreported, though, as it excludes the multiple semi-automatic and fully automatic rifles used in the 2017 Las Vegas Strip Massacre, the worst mass shooting in U.S. history, killing 58, wounding 546. In fact, semi-automatic rifles were featured in 4 of the 5 deadliest mass shootings being used in the Orlando nightclub massacre, Sandy Hook, and the Texas First Baptist Church massacre. Mass shootings and gun control. Despite the evidence of strict gun control measures reducing the frequency and severity of mass shootings in countries like Australia, citizens of the United States remain deeply divided over the issue, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so there you go. Since 1985, there's been 50 mass shootings involving rifles, mostly semi-automatics. This figure is underreported, though, as it excludes the multiple semi-automatic and fully automatic rifles used in the 2017 Las Vegas Strip Massacre, the worst mass shooting in U.S. history, killing 58 and wounding 546. Now, just excluding that alone, from where that motherfucker was in Vegas, up in in Mandalay Bay or wherever, overlooking that crowd, firing from that far away with a handgun, there is no way you kill 58 people and wound 546 with handguns, period, end of fucking story. That's why people are concerned, because this guy was able to do it, shoot up a bunch of people who were at a concert from blocks away, effectively.
In the United States, self-defense is the point.
No, it isn't. No, it isn't. Macho posturing is the point. Most of these fuckers, a handgun is one thing, because you could say that's for your self-defense if you're constantly under threat, if your ex has been, caught trying to hire people to murder you and you get a concealed carry or a open carry permit, something like that. But if you're walking around with an AR-15, you are a target if anybody wants to empty the place.
On Sunday, Congressman Adam Kinzinger has decided, and says it out loud, that in order for him to feel safe, we're going to need to confiscate your rifle because he feels unsafe. Watch.
Congressman, you do still oppose a ban on the kind of assault weapons that were used in the shooting. Can you explain why private citizens need weapons of war?
Look, I have opposed a ban, fairly recently. I think I'm open to a ban now.
Can you explain, Congressman, why private citizens need weapons of war? Now, CNN anchors need to be surrounded by bodyguards with weapons of war because they're important, but you and your family?
Well, no, because they're specific rando targets. And CNN, insofar as I know, none of the people there are walked to their fucking car by people with AR-15s, for fuck's sake, in New York City or anywhere else. This is a fucking cartoon. Yeah. If guns are so important to self-defense, why aren't they allowed in the NRA gatherings? Why can't you bring one into a gun show?
No, you don't need weapons of war. So for years, it's been about the AR-15, but things are changing. Joe Biden is now calling for a ban on the ubiquitous 9mm round. Watch this.
A 9mm bullet blows the lung out of the body. So the idea of these high caliber weapons. There's simply no rational basis for it in terms of about self-protection, hunting.
I see. So he's basically able to go after ammunition sales in a way that guns you can't do anything about. Yeah, you're allowed to own a gun nobody makes bullets for. That's true. This is actually a fabulous workaround.
And remember, the Constitution, the Second Amendment, was never absolute. You couldn't buy a cannon when the Second Amendment was passed.
So there's a guy who can't even recognize his own wife of 40 years in public lecture.
That's the whole, like, they were over his shoulder, wife, sister on either side, and they were supposed to be on one side, and they looked at the other, and he obviously did. He didn't end up mouth kissing his sister, did he? No. So you're just, this is like the Botox dig.
Us about what the rational basis is for this or that. Quote, there's simply no rational basis for the 9mm round in terms of self-protection. Well, of course, the opposite is true. The 9mm is the main self-protection round in the United States.
It's also the main murder round in the United States. It is the main round used by people to kill other people and themselves.
Along with the 5.56, the round used in the AR-15.
Right. Those two things are used to kill more Americans than any other round. And like way more than buckshot, way more than birdshot.
Both of them are small rounds.
So?
People use them to protect their families. And if
yeah, get a 22 or a 38.
If you take them away,
they'll buy a different one.
Americans will no longer be able to defend themselves.
Bullshit. They'll just have to buy a revolver or be able to hit what the fuck they're shooting at in 5 rounds or less. Also, the 9mm, the extended magazine aspect of it is why they became so popular.
In the middle of a crime wave that was...
Can you make your own bullets for the AR-15? Yes, you can make your own bullets for anything. You just have to be able to buy the casings and have your own little press. It's a pain in the ass, though, and most people won't.
Wholly manufactured by the same people who are trying to strip your guns from you. And that's, of course, the point. This is a power grab. And you can be certain...
Well, no. Well, yes, you're trying to grab power back from lunatics. Asshole ammosexuals who don't give a fuck if a bunch of kids are killed every year because they want to walk around in public with looking like a Call of Duty character with a shellfish allergy.
Certain that it is a power grab and not an effort to make...
Yeah, you can get a 30-round magazine for a 9mm pistol. That's why.
This is a safer country because the people who are calling for it are exempting themselves from its requirements.
No. There's a different requirement when you're an elected official or a famous person who might have somebody out to kill you versus a random person because you are a specific target. What they're trying to eliminate is non-specific targets. That they go to the grocery too. But you shouldn't have to worry that just because you go to the grocery that you'll have the same targets as a CNN anchor who that somebody wants to kill. Or any random politician.
Once again, that is the acid test. If you're for a law, will it apply to you?
Yes, it does. They won't be able to personally buy one, but they can have armed guards to do it. Or you can get a special permit for it. That's the whole point. It's not just, you can't just buy it randomly. Also, you can make your own 9mm rounds.
Michael Bloomberg's bodyguards carry the dreaded 9mm or 223 rounds, so they have high-capacity magazines. Do Nancy Pelosi's bodyguards, which you pay for, do Mitch McConnell's bodyguards carry?
Yeah, but they're state officials. They've sworn to an oath to protect people, unlike the Uvalde shooter, whose the only thing he ever swore to was that people were going to see how mad he was.
Carry those rounds? Well, we wanted to know. Why wouldn't we want to know? Why don't we have a right to know? So
this is always stupid. This is the stupidest fucking argument. Well, then why don't they, if they've got police guarding them, you have police guarding you too, fucko, and they don't need to show up wondering who there is going to fire back on them.
We emailed all 3 of their offices today. And unlike, we have to say, Justin Trudeau's office, none of them even bothered to reply to us.
Which I think shows class and taste and breeding on their part.
So obviously they won't be disarming their own bodyguards.
No, they're state officials. That are, by the way, those state officials are just as committed to protecting other innocent civilians in a situation. Let's say they manage to get somebody out, like Secret Service or anybody like that, somebody's opening fire in an area, once their principal is cleared, they can stay behind and protect the general populace. They are our bodyguards, you fucking wimp.
They'll keep their own weapons of war. In the meantime, they'll continue.
They're not weapons of war. They're not carrying AR-15s, fucko.
To pass legislation against weapons they know nothing about. They've been doing this for decades.
No, they haven't. They have not been doing this for decades, or we wouldn't still have this fucking problem.
We did a documentary on this, actually.
Breaking, the Buffalo shooter has been indicted. That's why Tucker is doing this video about Canada and whether Nancy Pelosi has armed guards because she's the female speaker of the fucking House.
Spoke to probably the person who knows more about self-defense weapons than any living American.
Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Hickok 45, one of the most popular figures on YouTube and truly an expert on the use of fire.
Hickok 45? Really?
Firearms for self-defense. Here's part of what he told us.
I like shooting people, and if you shoot some... By the way, has anybody asked Tucker which end the bullet comes out of?
And of course, it has the famous Tucker Carlson barrel shroud on it.
Barrel shroud. Guns that Hickok 45 is referring to Congresswoman Carolyn McCarthy of New York, who famously didn't understand the firearm she was trying to ban.
Do you know what a barrel shroud is? Time. I actually don't know what a barrel shroud is.
Because it's in your legislation.
It's a shoulder thing that goes up.
No, it's not. So a barrel shroud makes the rifle more deadly, right?
Yeah, really, shrouds that barrel. You know, a lot of what people come up with that do not know firearms, they just do not like them, they hate them, and so they're looking for reasons to hate them. They don't know anything about the cartridges.
Who gives a fuck about the cartridges? It's the receiving end of the fucking thing that matters in a fair society. And again, this motherfucker lives out in the sticks. I don't want people who live out in the sticks telling people who live in cities and suburbs how they should have to deal with guns in their area. Because this motherfucker could fire this gun in almost any direction and not hit shit. That's not true in a subdivision, and he knows better. The question is, would you blind fire anywhere in your area, wherever you live? This dude would absolutely blind fire anywhere in that area. But you cannot do that in a subdivision and in a fucking school. Here's the question. Would you take this to an elementary school loaded with multiple magazines? Would it be okay if you went in there? Do you trust any of the teachers in there who might be armed to not take it from you? Again, this is one of his Tucker originals. Hands in his pockets, never fired the fucking... I've fired those things before. I'm sure he's done it for television.
A bullet is dangerous. Let's face it.
Yeah, let's face it. How about... No, let's not face it. Let's not face a bullet. Don't face a bullet. You know where it's also dangerous? In the face of a toddler, asshole.
A hammer, a chainsaw, a ladder, a car.
Bullshit. No ladders go through fucking walls and strike people who are eating their fucking cornflakes. There's no such thing as a stray chainsaw.
They're potentially dangerous.
Yes. What do you think the difference is between 6 bullets going astray and 30 bullets going astray from 500 yards away? What do you think the chances are that kids could avoid a swinging chainsaw in a space versus a gun firing like this into a crowd of people? Can the people in that crowd dodge a chainsaw or a ladder or a fucking car better than they can a gun just going bang, 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 pop, 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 right? What a fucking asshole. What a dipshit. Ugh, so gross. And then ultimately, what was this about? The Canadians are sick of fucking handguns making their way into the country from America? Just ban firing pins? Yes. Listen to that. Listen to that ass. How are you not fucking embarrassed? A car is a dangerous thing. Yeah, okay. Tell you what, asshole. Next time a car drives through an elementary school into the classroom and runs over 19 children doing donuts in a fucking class, then we'll have a conversation. Christ, how are you? Look, how are you not embarrassed to talk like that? Now, Tucker is not the only one worried about power grabs. He's worried about all kinds of power being grabbed. But then so is Glenn Beck. Why Biden's emergency powers could be truly frightening. In caps and quotes, his emergency powers. Glenn warned you about PEADs, Presidential Emergency Action Documents, over a month ago, but now the New York Times seems to finally caught on. Times recently published a report about now declassified emergency powers George W. Bush held while in office. You mean after 9/11? Oh my God. It's a power grab. It's all shit that Trump could have done, but suddenly, luckily, he was either too stupid to use them because he didn't know he had them, or it just was ignorant of them, or they don't actually pose the threat the way you think.
Remember?
Oh, God. Remember George W. Bush and how, yeah, you mean the Republican president who took us to war in Iraq for no fucking reason?
So, remember, Stu, when...
Jesus Christ.
I talked to you about 4 weeks ago about PADs, and neither of us had ever heard of it.
And what's it, PADs?
It was Presidential...
Emergency Action Documents.
Emergency Action Directives. Okay. And we had not even heard of it at the time.
Yeah.
The New York Times reports today, until now, public knowledge of what the government put into...
Okay, the reason this is in the news because of something that was released, and the New York Times wrote a story about it, and this asshole saw it someplace, and now he thinks he's discovered something. I fucking love how Glenn Beck reads something in the corporate media that he rails against. The liberal media. He reads a story in the liberal media, and then all of a sudden, you know what I found out? Fuck off.
Classified presidential...
You thought Glenn was wearing a bib? No, I think this is, what do you think this is? Middle school, uninvited to the dance, Glenn Beck action figure?
Directives, which invoke emergency and wartime powers.
Right.
Granted by Congress and...
granted by Congress as representatives of the voters because of emergencies that we deal with. Oh, you mean democratically created powers?
Otherwise claimed by presidents, have been limited to declassified descriptions of those developed in the early Cold War. In that era, they included steps like imposing martial law, rounding up people deemed dangerous, and censoring news from abroad.
From abroad.
What could possibly go wrong?
By the way, I think if you allowed propaganda to get in the way it kind of gets in now, without somebody saying, by the way, this is Russian propaganda, sites like yours, The Blaze and The Daily Caller and The Daily Wire, can continue to bullshit their viewers using Russian talking points as if it's actual news. No, it's not an ascot. He's just wearing a white T-shirt underneath.
Now, this was...
if it's not attached to the shirt, which it might be.
First started by Eisenhower in the atomic...
So it's an emergency is what you're saying. So this is... How do I just hear about this now? Of course we have these fucking powers during the Cold War, asshole. We had Russians running around stealing nuclear secrets in the goddamn country.
Age, when we were afraid of nuclear weapons, if we would go...
Yeah, we're not afraid of those anymore. Thank God.
Go to a nuclear war.
Oh, I forgot to reset. Good point. You're watching HAL Sparks Mega Worldwide, where I deal with these long-form clips. I don't just cut little pieces out and tell you somebody said something that they said something when they're saying something. I show you the whole thing and react to it.
There wouldn't be enough time for them to sit around, the cabinet and go, okay, so what do we do? They pushed a button and everything had to go. So they would make these direct.
Yes, they had a martial law button and they had a round 'em up button. And get the fuck out of here.
Directives beforehand. And they would say, this is for an emergency in case of a nuclear war. And the president would sign it. And then it would be held. So you couldn't, Congress doesn't have a right to look at these things because they're not actually enforced. It's kind of like our advice until the emergency happens, and then it becomes...
Right. Because it's an emergency response. And notice how until Biden was in office, this motherfucker didn't care about any of these things.
The law of the land.
How does it become the law of the land? What process gives...
He just told you. Congress gave the administration these powers specifically. But as a mandate from the people due to a threat that's in reality. You don't have a 1-to-1 vote on every fucking thing. We don't micromanage the administration, or Trump would have never run for fucking office, actually.
It's the president the right to...
Emergency orders.
What the fuck? Like he's saying something. Both of you jackasses. He just told you.
If there's an emergency.
Right. Of which, thank God emergencies don't happen. I don't even know why we even think about this.
The president has all kinds of powers.
Oh, House Sparks per K-Link, mass shooter in Tulsa, Oklahoma, shooter's dead. Oy. So, for the record, I'm now upset about the Uvalde shooting. I'm not politicizing the one that just happened in Tulsa.
Now, I can't think of an emergency that might be on the horizon. Sure, there's the economic emergency that could happen.
What defined as what?
There's the energy shortage that might happen.
Again, are we just ratcheting up paranoia? Is that what the goal is here? It's just lazy.
There's a lawlessness emergency on the streets that could happen.
Biden could excuse student loan debt now. No, he could not, long shot, Louis. That's a lie. He cannot. He could not. If the president had that ability, then the president could also wipe out all debt held by defense contractors. It's silly. It's not true. It's a lie. It's nonsense. It's goofy. It's ridiculous. It's stupid. You cannot. You can't. It's impossible. Stop it. Other than that, I have no opinion.
But other
than
that, can you think of anything?
No.
There's the monkeypox emergency. I left that one out. There's the cheating at an election one that, would be really. There's the war emergency action that could be declared, but.
The war emergency action that could be declared. No, it can't. You have to declare war on a fucking country, you dummy. None of this is true. None of the stuff that he listed is true. Even if monkeypox went COVID, went totally across the entire country, first of all, you'd have people clamoring for you to do something quickly. And if you tried to use that power on something that was minor, you get drummed out of office.
Other than that, again, nothing to see here. So,
again, just paranoid bullshit.
It's not been clear what the modern directives have been. Known presidential emergency action documents, those are called PADs. They've never been made public or shown to Congress, but the New York Times has been looking into George W. Bush. Now, why would you stop there? I think we all know why.
Because of time passage? Because they dealt with something 20 fucking years ago, specifically, and that is not an ongoing threat like Al-Qaeda?
Am I right?
No, you're not. This is goofy.
Several of the files provided to the New York Times by the Brennan Center for Justice shows that the Bush-era effort partly focused on a law that permits the president to take over or shut down communications networks in wartime. Remember that one? And people like your local radio hosts and your hosts on talk radio said, hey, for the first time in my career, the emergency broadcast system is being taken out of our hands?
Yes, yeah, because we're in the 2000s now instead of 1964.
Emergency broadcast system used to be is the White House would alert the radio stations. And I think it was.
Yeah, and a bunch of the radio stations don't have fucking people working at them anymore. Have you been, all right, I've done a shit ton of radio in my life as a touring stand-up comedian, and I'm sure Glenn is familiar with some of these facilities, but even Rush Limbaugh's own fucking station, where I went and did morning radio one of the times, it's a giant, like, iHeart kind of a building. It's a big office building with no fucking people in it. Unless there's somebody on that particular station live, like their morning or drive time, and a lot of times they borrow them from other fucking stations and just pipe them in. Nobody is there to flip the fucking emergency broadcast switch anymore. And a lot of the stations, when they're bought out by these giant conglomerates, don't want to even do that fucking work. Of course they hand it over. It's a test of the emergency broadcast system. Why would you want a relay that has to be flipped by a human switch when nothing else in the station has to? Yes, Jan Morgan. Biden speaks May 17th, White House, Rose Garden. His administration firming up plans to cancel $10,000 in student debt. Right. That's the most he can do. He cannot get rid of the rest of it. That's all basically interest, and then using discretionary funds from the COVID relief to help people who are behind on it. That's it.
WMAL in Washington would get the first alert. And then
if they weren't blown to pieces,
WMAL would hear the tones.
If nobody there was dead.
And they would say, this is a test or this is an emergency.
And by that time, it would be too late.
If it was an emergency.
And they weren't already dead.
They'd pass it on to another station. And
that station, if everybody there wasn't dead from whatever the fucking emergency was, Jesus Christ, this is stupid.
That station would pass it on. Now, it would take like an hour to get all the way across the country.
Yeah, isn't that funny? And it's weird that in modern society, when you can fucking tweet and it's everywhere that allows Twitter on the globe in an instant, that the government has to wait until a station in fucking eastern fucking Idaho passes it on before Minneapolis finds out there's a fucking emergency.
To the west. So the west had already been wiped out, okay? But it's Seattle. Who cares? Anyway, so
that was their opinion at the time. It was like,
yeah. I remember, because I worked in Seattle, and I remember doing those tests going, if it's real, we're all dead anyway. So.
See, that again, he's making the exact fucking point why you would automate it.
Oh. Hey, everybody in Seattle, you've got about 90 seconds to prepare. God,
now he's lost track of his fucking point. He shot his own point, and look at the fade. Look at what's happening to his fucking face. Look at this shit. Ugh, God. Watch. He's like, yeah, it'd be too late. Now, where was I? Oh, yeah. I was talking about how that's a bad idea that the government can now flip a switch.
You've got about 90 seconds to prepare. So that's the way the test used to work.
Uh-huh. Or not work.
Then back in the George Bush era, they changed it. He now can push a button in the Oval Office or wherever. And it immediately overrides all signals. So
because it's the emergency broadcasting. And by the way, it does not override all signals. Not all cable systems would be aligned to it. Not anything broadcast, which is the airwaves. Companies rent that from the people, from the government, specifically the taxpayer. You get to use those bandwidths. You get a license to use those bandwidths. And because in theory, you're creating a common good, or you're helping commerce, or you just have a fucking business, but you're renting that from the people. And we can pull it back temporarily to tell everybody if fucking asteroids are headed for the planet.
He's on television and every radio station. There is no other information that is coming out except from the information from the White House.
Didn't this
bullshit? Especially now, because we have social media all over the place, and you'll see a thing come up on your fucking watch, followed immediately by whatever the fuck you were doing before.
happened in Austin Powers?
No.
Wasn't that his plan where he could just press a button and would overtake all broadcast?
No.
Probably.
No, not probably.
Okay.
Probably.
Just want to make sure.
I didn't see it, but yeah, we're probably taking directives from Austin Powers. And that's probably the thing that will
Dr.
make
Evil,
the
actually.
most sense all day to you. So
yes, that's true. Of all things, the plot point from a movie that didn't actually exist will make way more sense than anything you can hear from fucking Glenn and Stu.
Apparently, lawmakers cannot interfere with these.
Right. Why would you want Rand Paul to vote on whether or not we could get an emergency message from the White House?
Another file from the summer of 2008 mentioned that the Justice Department lawyers were revising an unidentified draft order in light of recent Supreme Court opinions. The memo doesn't specify the ruling, but the court had just issued the landmark decision on topics that relate to government actions in an emergency, one about gun rights in the United States, and another about the rights of Guantanamo detainees in court hearings. Well, that could be any one of those or all of those.
All right. Well, thanks for that clarity. Jesus Christ, this is stupid.
Now, here's the thing.
Yeah, here's the thing. Okay, finally, there's a thing. There's a thing at the end of this.
We got these through
the New York Times.
FOIA. But
no, you didn't. You didn't get shit through FOIA. The New York Times got them from somebody else who got them through FOIA.
We didn't FOIA the government.
Jesus.
We FOIA'd the...
you didn't FOIA fucking anybody, dum-dum. You're reading the New York Times.
George W. Bush Library.
No, you didn't.
Now, no one knows why they didn't FOIA the Obama administration's records.
Who says they didn't? They also didn't get anything from these.
Other than he doesn't have a library and nobody's building one yet because graft? I mean, they're looking for the right place.
What? Dude, who gives a fuck?
So we don't...
This is almost over. I don't even know what the fuck he's talking about. So you can't... That's why... so Obama doesn't have a library, so people can't FOIA top secret documents that wouldn't even be kept there.
No, what happened with the PADs, they are still enforceable if the president would say, hey, nuclear launch, what do you have? And it's the Eisenhower one. He could still...
Bullshit.
Have that. We don't know what's in effect and what's not in effect.
Oh, my God. The new presidents come in, they have to... They have to establish direct threat-based ones. You can't just... You're not just running on the fucking Eisenhower ones. If you were, you'd be launching missiles at places where there weren't even targets anymore. This is fucking stupid.
Many of them are classified. In fact, all of them are classified.
Yes, all of them are classified because they're not actually meant to be used. And part of them, if you knew what was in them, our enemies could tell what our response was going to be before we actually responded and tailor their attack to thwart it.
Except for this group that has just been released. Apparently... They had, I'm looking for it here.
Yeah, get to it quickly. It's not like you're boring or anything. Fuck me.
Here.
Good Lord. This is terrible radio.
I think 9,000 pages were not released.
Right. Because they have to do with fucking everything.
Because they're still classified.
Gee, why would they be classified, Glenn? It's not like we have any enemies in the world anymore. It's not like the Chinese don't have a plan to attack Taiwan or release some sort of pathogen, or the Russians don't have decided about whether or not they're going to use nukes anytime soon. I don't know why we don't just fucking print everything that goes on in our government. I don't know why you don't just take the roof off the CIA so everybody can see what's going on inside it from fucking space.
And I think they released 2,000 pages. So
did they or didn't they? You read the article.
There's another 9, but I'm sure.
But you're sure of what? Jesus Christ.
I'm sure there's almost nothing on those other 9 that remain.
Probably everything's fine.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. What a waste of fucking time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jesus Christ. Stu, rein him in.
It's the best way to always assume. We've learned that lately. Just assume everything's going to be fine.
Isn't that frightening?
No, it's not. It's incredibly fucking normal.
Yeah.
It's truly frightening.
No, it isn't. It's only frightening because you're a dipshit. Oh my God. Hi, you're watching HAL Sparks Mega Worldwide. I have to say, the infantile, the duplicitous nature of it is one thing. Because you have to look at Glenn and these assholes. They didn't give a rat fuck that Trump had these very same things when he was in office, but all of a sudden, because it's Biden, it's nefarious. And Biden might launch shit that Eisenhower wrote down, and that's the fucking fantasy we live in right now. Get out of here. So lazy. Holy shit. Okay. There is let me see this. Okay. I have a special report at the end. This might, and it might be long or short. I don't know how long this video is. That's the nature of BitChute. But I want to, Larry Kudlow, by the way, you're watching HAL Sparks Mega Worldwide. Like and subscribe. If you're on Twitch, twitch.tv/HalSparks, and you have Amazon Prime, you can subscribe and it doesn't cost you a dime. Patreon.com/HalSparks is a great way to support the channel as well. They're the folks who are responsible for all the gear, and as we go on the road again, that's the thing we're building out, and hopefully one day we'll have an actual studio. A boy can dream, can he? But that's what the Patreons are there to help us do. That, and of course, keep me fed and alive and clothed within reason. I am wearing pants, I promise. But lately, Kudlow has been making the rounds because I guess a lot of people don't want to go on Hannity anymore. So he's left to just interview other people on Fox. And so Fox Business host Larry Kudlow sounds off on Hannity on White House, locked into slashing fossil fuels despite massive deleterious effects on the economy, inflation. By the way, none of that is true. Let's just understand that right out. Hype train. Thanks, guys. Thank you, Sarah. Thanks, Ninka Crinkles, for the gift subs. It's a great way to support the show. You can, if you're already subscribed and you want to help, you can gift subs to other people as well. Also, you can become a member on Facebook. Stars on Facebook really help. Hi, Facebook. I haven't bugged you guys in a long time. Yes, I might be wearing a kilt. You don't know. If it'll help get my numbers up, I'm not discounting them. It's a very strong possibility. Okay, here we go. So, thank you, Lynn, for the super chat. Bless you. Okay, Lene, sorry. My screen is very small on that part. It's very small. It's a reference screen so I can see what's going out on the show. And okay. Anyways, here we go. Hype train level 3, hype train level 3, hype train. Look at that. Come on, let's get it up to 5. I think we can do that. Come on, Twitch. You can do it. All right, here we go. Now, this is Biden appears to seek green energy future at all costs. Yes, by any means necessary. He's the Malcolm X of windmills. Let's see.
Now tonight, Americans continue to suffer under the surging costs of the Biden agenda. Of course,
the surging cost of the Biden agenda, which of course entailed years of corporate America moving factories overseas and Russia attacking Ukraine. Obviously, that was part of the Biden agenda, was forcing poor Russia to have to attack Ukraine.
The radical climate alarmist religious cult agenda, New Green Dealism.
New Green Dealism. That's a big end.
Inflation continues to hover at a 40-year high. Prices in the grocery aisle continue to soar. And gas.
Gee, I wonder who could be to blame for shortage of foodstuffs.
Gas prices, yep, hit another new record high, one after another under Joe Biden. Of course,
actually, $11.56, the highest gas price I've seen, and that was under Trump.
He artificially reduced the world supply and gave
up
energy independence.
No, he didn't.
Now,
we're still energy independent.
Example,
hey, asshole, by the way, if you're going to show prices going up, don't show them in descending order.
All across California,
There you go,
we're
that's
now
better.
seeing the price of a gallon of gasoline higher than the federal minimum wage, which is $7.25 an hour.
Oh, so you're for raising the minimum wage. That's lovely. Also, Americans are still paying more. They're currently at its highest point, are paying the same for a gallon of gas that Europeans pay for a liter of it.
But of course, as the
of course, because war and post-pandemic. But let's just pretend COVID never happened.
Crisis build up, and Biden's approval rating goes down to 32%. The White House, they just try to blame Putin, they blame COVID, they blame Fox, they blame Hannity.
No, nobody cares about you. Nobody thinks you actually have an impact on anything, Sean. Nobody.
Blame Trump, and today they blame the Federal Reserve. And meanwhile, Biden's energy crisis is...
Today they blame the Federal Reserve for what? For not being able to create supply?
Is going from bad to worse.
U.S. summer fuel charge could be worse than 1970s oil crisis, IEA chief. Okay.
As the International Energy Agency is warning, fuel shortages this summer could be worse than the oil crisis of the 70s.
Huh. Let's see if that's exactly what he said. U.S. summer fuel shortages could be the United States and Europe could experience fuel shortages this summer, if you include Europe, which gets most of their, 22% of their oil from Russia. This summer, that could be worse. That's a lot of coulds. Could experience fuel shortages this summer that could be worse than the 1970s oil crisis as demand ramps up for travel season. Sometimes the stupid hurts. So Americans do have the means and wherewithal to travel, and so do Europeans, and therefore the demand on limited supply will drive the shortages because of limitations. The head of the International Energy Agency warned, when the main holiday season starts in Europe and the U.S., fuel demand will rise. Really? When the fuck did that happen? You're not talking about summer, are you? Then we could see shortages, for example, in diesel, petrol, or kerosene. Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh, that's not good, Sean. If I may. What's that say? Then we could see shortages, for example, in diesel, petrol, or kerosene. Anybody got a car running on kerosene right now? Particularly in Europe. Motherfucker. Honest to God. Gas is $9 a liter in Germany right now. Yeah. Yes, your car runs on windmills, of course. My car runs on bald eagle cancer, on tumors specifically. Barrel said the current energy crisis could be worse and longer lasting than the shocks of the 1970s. Back then, it was just oil, he said. Now we have an oil crisis, a gas crisis, and an electricity crisis simultaneously. He means we in Europe. Oil prices spiked sharply as a result of the outbreak of Yom Kippur War in 1973, as well as the Islamic Revolution in Iran in 1979. This year, energy prices have been pushed upward after the Russian invasion of Ukraine. I'm sorry. I thought the Biden administration was blaming Russia. not Market Watch, which has further disrupted an already limited supply because we have plenty of oil, but they haven't made it through the refineries yet. Gasoline prices have soared nationwide in the U.S., hitting record highs over the Memorial Day weekend. American motorists are paying a nationwide average of $4.62 per gallon, and again, $9 a liter in Germany. Motorists in California were feeling the strongest pinch, with some gas stations in parts of Los Angeles, the San Francisco Bay Area, and Yosemite region charging in excess of $7.25 per gallon, more than the federal minimum wage. That's what he's referencing specifically. On average, gas in the Golden State costs $6.15 a gallon, more than in any other in the nation, according to the AAA. Californians are saddled with higher prices due to taxes and surcharges that are added to the baseline cost of fuel. I thought this was due to the Biden administration stopping the Keystone XL pipeline. In Los Angeles County, the most populous county in the country, gas prices reached around $6.16 per gallon over Memorial Day weekend, up almost $2 from the previous holiday record of $4.29 in 2012. Of course, $2022 versus $2012, different, but okay. The nationwide average, meanwhile, represents a 40% increase from the start of the year. It also is well above last year's level of $3.04. Analysts predict that more states will cross the $5 per gallon average by the 4th of July holiday as demand is expected to increase. Oh, so it's a supply and demand issue. Okay, while supply remains tight. Global oil prices also continue to tick upward. Brent crude, the international benchmark, surpassed $123 per barrel on Tuesday, reaching a 2-month high. West Texas Intermediate, U.S. benchmark, reached more than $118 a barrel on Monday. Wait a minute. Why would West Texas crude versus Brent crude be lower? Oh, because there's more of it available. This article was first published in the New York Post. Look at that. Comedy jokes.
For those of you that don't remember those days, I grew up waiting online, odd days, even days, for maybe $10 worth of gas, maybe $5 at the time. Now, it all comes as America.
And we all survived. Isn't that weird? The 80s were after that. So were the 90s. So were the early 2000s. It's almost as if we'd learned our lesson and gotten off of oil and gas way back then, we'd be further ahead by now. Man, I wish we hadn't killed the electric car in the early 90s.
Americans are growing more and more pessimistic about the Biden economy.
Gallup, economic pessimism growing in the U.S. Okay, hold on. Hold on. This is the Gallup thing. Here we go. Economic pessimism growing in the U.S. by Jeffrey Jones. Economic confidence index drops from 45 to 39. Confidence down because of poor ratings of current conditions. Inflation ties government as most important problem facing the U.S. Gallup's economic confidence measured negative 45 in May, down from negative 39 in each of the previous 2 months. It's the lowest rating Gallup's trend during the coronavirus pandemic, and likely the lowest confidence has been seen since the tail end of the Great Recession in early 2009. Gallup's economic confidence. Okay, here we go. This is 95. It's still above 2008. And again, this is apparently, look at this drop off. Patow. And oh, look at that. Look at the weird part about that. So here we go. September, but again, pow again. 2021, January, there you go, up, and then we're at negative 45. Okay. Gallup's Economic Confidence Index is a summary measure for America's perceptions of current economic conditions and their outlook for the economy. It has a theoretical range of plus 100 if all respondents say the economy is excellent or good, and that it is getting better, to negative 100 if they say it's poor and getting worse. The latest results are based on this conducted at a time of record high gas prices, elevated inflation, government reports of declining economic growth in the first quarter. That's the 0.09% or whatever. And a slump in the stock market, which rebounded almost immediately after this. Low employment is rarely a bright spot, but employers are still struggling to find workers to fill needed jobs, which is contributing to an ongoing supply chain problems. Gallup has measured their perceptions of the economy, blah, blah, less positive about current conditions. Currently, 14% of U.S. adults rate economic conditions as either excellent or good. 46% say they are poor, while another 39% rate the system as only fair. The confidence index takes into account the net of excellent and good versus poor responses, which is negative 32 this month. In April, 20% of Americans rated the economy positively, and 42% said it was poor, with a net of negative 22. Meanwhile, 20% of Americans say the economy is getting better, and 77% say it is getting worse. Essentially the same as in April and March. It's not news. It's not growing. It's the same. And largely it's the news. Like, when have these motherfuckers talked up the economy?
Look at the Gallup numbers. The Economic Confidence Index,
failure of news, by the
has
way,
now cratered to a whopping minus 45. That's the lowest.
That's this guy. That's the lowest since 2008.
Since the tail end of the recession in 2009. Here with reaction, Fox Business host Larry Kudlow and...
Hi, Gin Fizz. I mean, Sean Hannity.
That recession was pretty steep and deep and wide. I really have two...
It was steep and deep and wide. Talk dirty to me, Sean.
Questions. I don't see that they're doing a single thing, to me, that would help us recover.
Gee, I can't imagine why Fox News viewers wouldn't feel that the entire world is cratering around them with all this balanced and fair news.
As a matter of fact, one of the best things they could do for...
Thanks, Julie. We needed a troll. I appreciate that.
Inflation is return to energy independence. That would be an easy fix.
We're already energy independent.
For inflation and the...
We still are. Thanks, Caroline.
High cost of everything we buy in every store we go to. Number one. Number two, you know the economy as well as anybody I know.
Oh, so you don't know any economists?
For those Americans, 2/3 of which are now living paycheck to paycheck, what advice do you give them? What about their 401ks? What
citation needed.
What about their IRAs, their retirement money? What do you...
Yeah, people living paycheck to paycheck don't have IRAs and retirement in general.
Tell them to do at this point.
I would say move to China. It's going to be great.
Well, Sean, thank you for having me on again.
And I'm drunk. I'm fucking hammered.
And let me tackle the first point.
Yeah.
You know, Biden's article in the Wall Street Journal today that was the talk of...
That's, by the way, why he's on there responding to this.
The town had no new inflation plan, anti-inflation plan. It had nothing. I mean...
Well, that's because we're staring down the barrel of deflation because it's not monetary inflation we're dealing with. It's supply shock. And right now, can I show you something? Oh, okay, hold on. U.S. inventories up, retailers. Now, you guys know that for a while I have been talking about the fact that technology, in essence, is deflationary anyways. And you can tell because you can buy a laptop now for $2,000 that is 100,000 times more powerful than a $3,000 desktop was 20 years ago. That's how it's deflationary. It gets cheaper, faster, and better all the fucking time. Now, everything else, though, because of supply chains, cheapness, what people want and how they get it, is deflationary because we're automating more stuff. There's a lot of reasons. But I would like to show you something that throws a monkey wrench in this idea that we're staring down the barrel of inflation that's just run away and it's gonna, we're gonna be stuck with it for the time being. U.S. retailers' ballooning inventory set stage for deep discounts. May 27th, 2022. I have to register to read this? Continue to read? Okay, well, fuck you. Hold on. I'll find one where it's not listed. One second. I'll do news. Yeah, here you go. Here's a NASDAQ story on it. This is the right wing. Here you go. This is the right wing NASDAQ. That incredibly lefty organization, the NASDAQ. Focus. U.S. retailers ballooning inventories set stage for deep discounts. Same article from there. May 27th. Major U.S. retailers that recently scrambled to restock shelves and product shortage amid product shortages disclosed this week that their stores are now packed with too much merchandise, and some are even doing what was unthinkable just a few months ago, discounting unsold goods. This is what you would call deflationary pressure. Too much shit, not enough buyers. Inflation is worldwide in general, but yeah, it's a sign of a more possible trouble to come for retailers amid soaring inflation and higher gas prices. With shoppers' tastes quickly shifting, many retailers now find themselves with a surplus of merchandise, driving up costs. Costco, wholesale corp, Cost.O, said its inventories ballooned 26% in its fiscal third quarter ended May 8th that include a few $100 million of extra holiday merchandise and being a little heavy on small appliances and household items. At Gap, a 34% spike in inventories was caused by poor sales at Old Navy and longer transit times for goods. Similarly, Macy's CEO Jeff Gennett says this week cited an imbalance in inventory. Supply chain constraints relaxed, resulting in it receiving goods from overseas earlier than we expected, he said, because they moved some of the shit away from China and they changed suppliers. Meanwhile, shoppers changed buying patterns, buying fewer home items while snapping up occasion-based clothing and other merchandise, swim trunks, towels, beachwear, flip-flops. Average retail inventories in the United States are rising at a faster pace than sales growth, according to Citi Research on 18 retailers' first quarter results as of May 22nd. At 11 of the 18, inventories rose by 10 percentage points more than sales did. These people are assholes. This is going to crash prices. I don't know why.
What he's setting us up here is for his vision, this woke vision.
Yes, woke being a bad word involves more brown people.
Of a fossil-free economy.
Well, we don't. I think you mean fossil fuel. Our economy doesn't largely run on fossils. I did when I was a kid. I got fossilized dinosaur poop at Mammoth Cave, and it was one of my prized possessions. I wish I still had it.
Which is going to do enormous damage to the economy. It'll put it in a permanent recession.
No, it won't. There's no such thing as a permanent recession.
It'll cause millions.
Americans losing confidence in Biden economy. No, they're losing confidence in the economy you're selling them.
Of job losses and rising unemployment. And of course, as you can see, the gas prices and the diesel prices and the world oil price. I mean, that's gone back to $120. So inflation is going to rage. He had no plan today. He wants fossil free. He knows it's
fossil fuel free. I know it's 3 F's in a row, but
going to cause a recession, and I don't think they care. And I think all.
Yes, they don't care. I mean, it's not like he wants to run again or get other Democrats elected. He doesn't care if there's a recession. Part of it, the whole thing is just about destroying the United States. It's why he ran.
All this talk in this Wall Street Journal article about a transition, I think he's saying it's a transition to fossil-free, and it's a transition to recession, and they're trying to sugarcoat it, and people are going to see right through it.
It's just, and it's not at all gibberish.
So it's a terrible ploy. I mean, look, you want to end inflation? I got a plan, okay?
All right, let's hear it. Here, end inflation. Here it comes.
This will call it the Kudlow-Hannity plan, because, you know, I think you're moving up the ladder to a B or a B plus in economics.
Yeah, thanks a lot. I got a bad grade last week.
Yeah. I'm picking it up here. I'm absolutely picking.
I don't know what that reference is to, other than both of these guys have a terrible understanding of the current economic state of the world.
Look, a domestic spending freeze, cut tax rates for supply side economic growth.
Yeah. What a weird thing. Cut taxes. Sure.
Open up the spigots for drilling of.
Open up the spigots. You don't have to drill spigots. They already exist.
Oil and gas and pipelines.
There are 9,000 unused oil and gas leases.
Deregulate business.
That's what it is. That's what's killing business right now is regulations. It's, you know what, that's what did in the whole baby formula market. You know what I mean? Let's deregulate. We don't need all this FDA testing. You just get that shit out there.
Yeah, you can frack.
Yeah, you can frack. Yes, we're already fracking. Ask West Texas. What the new earthquake? Here you go. Hold on. There you go. Earthquakes in Texas doubled in 2021. Scientists cite years of oil companies injecting sludgy water underground. The surge in seismic activity from increased underground pressure is shaking the West Texas ground and rattling longtime residents. Fuck them. Midland, hey, it's poor George W. is waking up in the middle of the night. Isn't that where his farm is? One local said it sounded like a pickup truck had rammed into the side of their house. Another said it sounded like an air conditioner fell off the roof. A third compared the experience to getting off of a roller coaster, dizzy and a bit shaky. Honestly, I don't think this has to do with fracking. I think this is entirely to do with all the Californians that have moved there. We bring earthquakes with us, apparently. In the hardest ones we've experienced, there's a bunch of shaking and the picture shook off the walls. Christina Bach, 45, who lives in Gardendale, a rural community north of Odessa in the heart of West Texas oil and gas country. Earthquakes have dislodged her deck from the house and left cracks in her walls, she said. You hear a loud bang. If you're outside, you assume it's a car wreck or that something exploded outside, said Bach, a paralegal who's lived in Gardendale for 13 years. The scary thing is that they're happening pretty much daily at this point. Hey, there you go. Texans rattled by seismic activity in 2021. There you go. Surging 209 earthquakes. Yeah. You can frack. Go ahead. Just go ahead and frack it. Go frack yourself.
All of business. Stop these price controls.
What price controls are you fucking talking about?
And then protect King Dollar. The Fed is going to have to raise interest rates and take some cash out of the economy. Now,
bullshit.
That would be an anti-inflation plan.
No, it isn't. It has nothing to do with it. This is a supply shock related price impact. This has nothing to do with inflation. There is not too much money in the fucking system. Hold on one second. Like, this is the same bullshit these assholes have been talking about for years, and every time they call this shit, we end up with a recession because it's the only way they can figure out a way to stabilize the mess they made in the first place. It's all like driving a cruise ship by yanking the wheel back and forth like fucking crazy. Hold on one second. What was I going to say before? There was something I wanted. Oh, yeah. Here you go. Liquidity. Liquidity means there's lots of money sloshing around in the system. Think of the green stuff as water just flowing through there. Treasury market faces liquidity risk as Fed pairs balance sheet. Fuck, now I got it. The fucking Reuters. I'm gonna have to sign up for this shit again. Has the junk bond market, okay, liquidity. Fed's beige book finds economy moderating concern about the future. Okay, forward in the end, economic theories prevail. U.S. stocks end lower as investors fret over economy, inflation, and Fed. Was quantitative tightening. That's what they're currently doing now. Economic storm clouds are brewing. There's not enough money in the system.
But that's not what
worldwide.
You saw in the paper today.
That's because he's dealing with the actual problems, not the fantasy problems that Republicans wish it was. Like you're in some sort of Volcker-esque bullshit from the Reagan years.
What you saw in the paper today is no oil and gas production increases.
There you go. Whoops. Oh, you bastard. Get out of here. Joe Biden, my plan for fighting inflation. I won't meddle with the Fed, but I will tackle high prices while guiding the economy's transition to stable and steady growth. The global economy faces serious challenges. Inflation is elevated, exacerbated by Vladimir Putin's war in Ukraine. Energy markets are in turmoil. Supply chains that haven't fully healed are causing shortages and price hikes. Americans are anxious. I know that feeling. I grew up in a family where it mattered, blah, blah, blah. In January 2021, when I took office, recovery had stalled and COVID was out of control. It was less than a year and a half. My administration's economic vaccination plans helped achieve the most robust recovery in modern history. Job market's the strongest since the post-World War II era, with 8.3 million new jobs, fastest decline in unemployment on record, millions of Americans getting jobs with better pay, which is partly why prices went up temporarily and why companies flooded their stores with inventory, because people were flush with cash that they could spend and they figured they'd use it, and they were wrong. Since I took office, families have increased their savings and have less debt. And a recent Federal Reserve report found that a higher percentage of Americans reported feeling financially comfortable at the end of 2021 than at any time since the survey began in 2013. Business investment is up 20%. Manufacturing jobs are growing at the fastest rate in 30 years. There were more new small business applications in 2021 than in any previous year. The U.S. is in a better economic position than almost any other country. This is true, blah, blah, blah. According to the IMF, the U.S. economy will be larger at the end of this year relative to its pre-pandemic size than any of the Group 7 economies, than any other Group of 7 economy. The U.S. economy has grown faster this year than China's economy for the first time since 1976. With the right policies, the U.S. can transition from recovery to stable, steady growth and bring down inflation without giving up all these historic gains. And he's right, by the way, and prices are going to come down this fall, and there's going to be a huge Black Friday, and Christmas is going to be even easier than it was last year, and that's just reality. Crazy. I ran for president because I was tired of the so-called trickle-down economy. First, the Federal Reserve has a primary responsibility to control inflation. They don't do it, though, which is it's common misconception. It's the vulgarization of it, and it's all nonsense, but that's the common thought. Second, we need to take every practical step we can make to make things more affordable for families during this moment of economic uncertainty. Boost the productive capacity of our economy over time. The price of the pump is elevated in large part because of Russian oil, gas, and refining capacity are off the market. We can't let up on our global effort to punish Mr. Putin for what he's done, and we must mitigate these effects for American consumers. That's why I led the largest release from global oil reserves in history. Congress could help right away by passing clean energy tax credits and investments that I have proposed. A dozen CEOs of America's largest utility companies told me earlier this year that my plan would reduce the average family's annual utility bills by $500 and accelerate our transition from energy produced by autocrats, meaning oil from the Middle East and from Russia and coal from elsewhere. We can also reduce the cost of everyday goods by fixing broken supply chains, improving infrastructure, and cracking down on the exorbitant fees that foreign ocean freight companies charge to move products. That's the $19,000 shipping container thing that we saw at the end of 2020, beginning of 2021. My housing supply action plan will make housing more affordable by building more than 1 million more units. By the way, everybody's clamoring that the housing market is going to crash because prices are artificially up because there's not enough, there aren't enough houses on the market, and there's still not enough houses for people who want them. So we're going to have to keep building. We can reduce the price of prescription drugs by giving Medicare the power to negotiate. Okay. Third, we need to keep reducing the federal deficit. Okay. My plan will reduce the deficit even more by making common sense reforms of the tax code. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. That's fine. They hate it because it doesn't involve more oil and gas drilling.
More Build Back Better for $5 trillion.
That's not in there at all.
Tax wealthy people, successful earners, and corporations, and regulate business left and right. So it's the exact opposite, okay? And that is the problem.
It's angry drunk, Larry, today.
And that's why this inflation is not going away.
Yes, it is, and it's not inflation.
All right, so we'll beg OPEC, and they'll reject us again. They'll do a bad deal with Iran. That's really dumb, making the mullahs rich again. Do business with the murdering dictator thug in Venezuela. But let me go to the part B of my question, which was for every American that has money in the stock market, a 401k, an IRA, whatever it happens
Bitcoin
to be. What do you say to them as they...
What do you say to all of them who've watched Bitcoin crash because most of Hannity's viewers and a lot of Kudlow's viewers have bought into the Bitcoin run?
See their hard-earned retirement money
ebb and flow like the fucking stock market does on a regular basis. It basically recovered most of its losses in the last 2 weeks. Hold on. Dow. 5 day, oh. But 1 day, but 5 day, oh. And then it wavers, there you go. Basically, it's like evening out. It's like it was back at its, it was above this point. It hit, what is it, a month ago? A couple months ago, 1 month ago. It hit 34,000. Now it's going to jag back down. It'll go back up. And like, this is the peak. Fuck off with this nonsense. 0.75% in the past month. Dude, 248 points. Oh my God. Out of 32,813. Get the fuck out of here. In the last week. Here's the oh God, these people are so fucking dumb.
Dwindling by the hour.
Well, look it. I believe in
staying the course.
Stocks for the long run.
Right. So you don't get out and they're not dwindling by the hour.
This woke big government socialism from Joe Biden,
which doesn't exist,
that's damaging the real value of stocks.
No, it isn't. They're overvalued. Everybody says so. What the fuck are you talking about?
Is going to go away. It's not going to last. The cavalry's coming. The Congress is going to change.
No, it isn't.
In 2022,
No, it isn't.
November.
No, it isn't.
And so will the White House in 24.
No, it won't.
Look at Sean. My advice is, folks, don't sell.
Right. Because it's going to recover. And it has nothing to do with the fucking government. Jesus Christ. What, Murph? What's going on? Okay, hold on. I'm getting near the end of the show and the cats want attention. Hold on 1 second. What's going on, buddy? Hi. What's happening? What's going on? Are you okay? What do you want? Okay, hold on. I know they want to see it. Come here. It's okay. Okay. Hi. I know. Come here. Come here. I know, silly. I know you're very grumpy, but everybody wants to see you. They want to know what I'm going after. They want to see what a beautiful boy you are. Murphy. I know. You're very grumpy. I know. Well, tell them. Yeah? Well, say something to these folks. Yeah? Well, then how come? Are you? You sure? What is it? Well, how come? All right. I'm trying. Well, his name's Larry Kudlow, and he's not very nice. It's true. Here you go. What's going on, buddy? What's going on? Murphy's a handsome man. He's a handsome kitty. You are. You're grumpy, but you're handsome. You are a grumpy kitty. There you go. All right. Hold on. Can you hold on? Yeah, I know. There you go, buddy. Oh, I see. That's why. Because Chip just walked by, and he makes you grumpy. Mm-hmm. Look at this. This is Murphy. Yeah. You want to go down? Okay. You're not going to like it, though. Because Chip's right there. He's blocking the door. And you're going to be all... You're going to hiss. See? I told you. You can see him. He's right... It's okay. It's all right, buddy. I know. It's okay. Okay. Go on. Hop down. And then... I know. And then you don't leave. You jump down like you don't want me to touch you. And then... Where do you go? Come on. I know. All right. Hi, Chip. What's going on, buddy? Chip, I think they want to see you too. Come here. They want to see what Murphy's fighting over. They want to see what Murphy is upset about. They want to see big Chip. Chipple. There's Chip. How are you? Hi, buddy. You came down to say hi, and Murphy got all mad at you, and he swatted at you. What a jerk. What a jerk. What a jerk. I know. Look how big Chip is. He's a big kitty. He's a big kitty. That's a good kitty. Mm-hmm. You gonna hop down too? Go ahead. Ow. You got your claw in my finger, silly. All right, where were we? Oh yeah, the Larry Kudlow being a miserable puke. Hold on. I gotta get my headphones back before Chip starts attacking them. And they've got cat hair on them too. I really have to work out these Christmas lights. I got to work out my headphones again so I can have some portable ones. All right, here we go. Jesus.
I actually think the stock market has more downside, okay? We have not seen the bottom, but I would still say don't sell. Buy as the market goes down. Stocks for the long run is the best way to do it. And finally, if you have some...
Well, not if the fucking economy's going to collapse and it's the end of the world and Joe Biden's socialism's going to destroy everything, asshole. If any of what you say is true, none of that is true.
Cash... Buy the Treasury savings bonds. They're called I-bonds.
Yes, buy American savings bonds right now because the future of the federal government debt is bright. Jesus Christ, this asshole. He's saying this because of infrastructure.
They're indexed for inflation. The yield is about 10%. So try a savings bond and...
This motherfucker, I can't, these assholes. Biden's fucking president... And he's telling people to buy U.S. savings bonds while telling you out the other side of his fucking mouth that the entire economy is going to collapse. What a jerk off. I swear to God, this is just embarrassing. This asshole, honestly, I don't think anybody watching this is seeing just how contradictory what this asshole is saying.
Stay in the market. Do not
stay in the market and buy savings bonds. Yes, that's exactly what you tell people when Biden's socialism Green New Deal is going to wreck the whole fucking economy. Jesus Christ. Yeah, we're collapsing. So invest now. It's right, West. US bonds will always be safe. God, what a dipshit. And the rate's going up. God, oh, fuck, he's an idiot.
Time the market, stocks in the long run, the cavalry's coming. These crazy woke policies are not going to last the test of time.
Larry, the cavalry will start in 2023, assuming the Republicans take over the House and Senate.
Yeah, but it's obviously everything's going to crash, right? You just told me everything's going to fucking... You see, Sean, you're starting to see a hole in his fucking argument.
But you need the House, the Senate, and the White House to really get the job done. So this...
Yeah, you're not going to get either. You're not going to get any of them.
This is going to be... Yes. This is going to be a lot longer than people wish, I know for sure. All right.
No, you don't. You don't know any of this shit. Most of these motherfuckers think we're actually experiencing monetary inflation. God damn, this is
Larry
stupid.
Kudlow, thank you. Hey, Sean Hannity.
Oh, my God. Larry Kudlow, thank you. All right. I went overtime already, but since I don't have a show tomorrow, I want to show you guys one thing that I just think is like indicative of the underlying current of what like Tucker and Sean's audiences really believe. Here you go. This is from our favorite, the butthole of the internet, BitChute. Hybrids and demons in movies, tongue flicking and shifting in your face. Referencing Rosemary's Baby. Now, I don't know how long this is. I don't think it's too long. But let's see. So the beginning of this, by the way, is like a minute and a half ad of them selling like prepper skin oil or some shit.
Now, I had so many. I was so busy this weekend, you guys, and a lot of it had to do with housekeeping and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of cleanup to do after you have a prepper get together.
Stuff like that.
Yeah, you know the mess people make when they think the world is ending? Those motherfuckers.
Cleaning my house and everything, trying to keep
that's usually what we call housekeeping.
Multitask as much as I possibly could. So one of the things I like to do is put on a movie. I listen.
Yeah, whenever I'm vacuuming, I put on Rosemary's fucking Baby.
To a lot of relaxing music. Don't get me wrong, a lot of cool jazz.
See, that's wave jazz is the devil's music. There, I said. Yes, Top Gun was really good, Mr. Stoner. To you, dude.
Relaxing. However, sometimes I like to listen to something I've already seen before a million times.
Yes, and you don't seem like the kind of person who's watched Rosemary's Baby too many goddamn times.
The reason being this. That way I don't have to pay attention to it. I don't get sucked into the plot. I already know what's going to happen. I could repeat lines from a movie. And so this is one of those movies. Another one is The Talented Mr. Ripley.
Really? Those are your two? Who the fuck can quote Rosemary's Baby and The Talented Mr. Ripley?
And I want to do a breakdown on that movie at some point. But right now, I'm stuck on Rosemary's Baby. I'll tell you why. There's so much more in these movies than we know.
Oh, yeah. It's definitely... Well, first of all, Ruth Gordon said... you...
And so I'm kind of doing the movies in layers. Like, I'll go back to the same movie and I might talk about the color, the sets. You know, where are they standing? What objects are in the room? Because people, they do not waste any opportunity to put the occult out there in front of us and tell us what they're doing.
It is a movie about a woman having the devil's baby. You do realize that, stupid. They're hiding those things in plain sight in Rosemary's Baby so that when you watch it the second time, like, oh, motherfucker, there's a pentagram on the wall. Like, what kind of dipshit?
Doing.
By the way, yes, if you feel like putting pentagrams in the chat on Twitch, I guess that's pretty easy to do, just to freak this lady out.
It just takes you a while to see it.
No, it doesn't.
Because you're not looking at it, and that's exactly...
Well, it's a set piece. It's not the main actor.
Exactly what I want to talk about right now. This movie. So, I've seen this movie so many times, but I was cleaning. I was really cleaning because...
Yeah, because, that's the kind of dirt that doesn't come out.
What do you think about when you clean? Well...
what do I think about when I'm cleaning? It's a good question. The smell of whatever I'm using, whether I'm going to run out of paper towels before I run out of spots on the floor. Cats throwing up, that happens a lot.
You know, I like to have these movies on because...
Yeah, who doesn't want to have, while they're vacuuming, doesn't want to have a thing about a woman giving birth to Satan's baby?
I don't look at them the same anymore. I don't listen to them the same way anymore. I don't think they're cute. I don't think they're funny.
Yeah, Rosemary's Baby wasn't a cute comedy. What? Who the fuck thought Rosemary's Baby was a rom-com?
I don't get into their characters to the extent that you did before, because they want you to get into the drama. They want you to feel what the characters are feeling.
Yes, that's the point of art. Uh-oh, she might be onto something.
And always remember that Ross Hunter said, tear-jerkers are the hardest. Because remember that.
Tear-jerkers are the hardest?
The next time you watch a 2020, or the next time you watch a 48 Hours Mystery, or a Dateline, which is supposed to be a documentary, tear-jerkers are the hardest.
Those aren't tear-jerkers. You know, people don't tear up watching 2020, you fucking weirdo.
Guess what's easy? To pull people into the story of a crime and have the victims up there crying, if they're even real.
Oh, God. Get on with it.
If they're not crisis actors. All this stuff goes through my mind.
Crisis actors? It's a fucking murder mystery on 2020.
When I have this stuff on, I'm analyzing it and breaking it down.
Uh-huh.
Well, what's possible? Well, these people could be crisis actors. This could be a fake murder.
Yes, none of the murders in Rosemary's Baby actually happened. Or in The Talented Mr. Ripley, when he hits that dude with the oar, that was all makeup.
Like the Manson murders is a good example.
No, it isn't. That actually happened.
And I haven't even gotten into that one yet.
Well, thank God.
That's another thing. You look at these crimes, datelines and stuff.
Uh-huh.
And then they show the people who did it, and you're thinking, oh, dear God, this looks like it came right out of the underground. You know, this is a hybrid of some kind or something.
The what? The people are hybrids. You mean the inbred rednecks that commit a lot of these murders?
So you have a whole new perspective on these things, trying to figure out what's really going on.
What's really going on in Rosemary's Baby is a fictional story about a woman giving birth to the devil's baby.
I always watch this movie over and over again.
Yeah, we gathered.
Number one, the items, the apartments and the sets and stuff. I always look at that stuff, and these sets are really interesting in this movie because I realize the sets are speaking. And also...
No, those... That's the actors. The sets are the places they take place in. The building isn't acting. Oh, God.
Costuming and everything. It's all ritual. It's all a ritual. This movie is a ritual. And
no, it isn't. It's full of subtle hints of what's going on because it's a horror movie, dum-dum.
you begin to realize that
You're fucking insane? You're a lunatic?
they're looking at it one way and we're looking at it another way.
Yes, they're looking at it as a movie that they're trying to convey storylines on multiple levels and get you engaged in stuff and make you scared and worried and enamored of and frightened by certain characters and the like. And you're watching it as a lunatic prepper who thinks the world is run by hybrid lizard alien people with flicking eyes and forked tongues while you're vacuuming up after your friends who came over to eat pancake batter out of a painter's tub.
Okay, I'm trying to figure out how are they looking at this movie?
They start with the script.
Are they being programmed by it? Well, all the above. Messages are being sent. People are being programmed to do certain things.
Oh dear, it's like Catcher in the Rye. If you read it, you become a MK Ultra.
Activated, if you will.
I will. Sure, why not?
Or they're being threatened, or they've already been through these sacrifices like this. How many people
Well, look, auditioning is a pain in the ass, but I wouldn't call it a sacrifice.
do you think are triggered by these scenes? Now,
Almost no one? Apparently not you, because you were vacuuming?
I couldn't believe what I was looking at. I put this movie on just like I do all the time.
Yeah, all the time. Who the fuck does... What the fuck?
Every time.
Every time. She always cleans to Rosemary's Baby.
100,000 times
100,000 times.
before.
No, you have not been alive that long, ma'am.
And I'm watching it, and I think I see something.
Yes, usually in a movie you will see something. It's how it differs from radio.
And I went, no, that couldn't be. And I went back, and I looked again, and it freaked me out. I couldn't believe what I was looking at. Again, I've seen this movie 1,000 times. But here's the trick that this movie pulls, and a lot of other movies I'm gonna discover this, I think, from this point forward. Now that
Rosemary's Baby, American Pie, Fletch, Debbie Does Dallas, they all have...
that I've noticed it in this movie.
Uh-huh.
And I believe other people have noticed other things in other movies.
I will admit, I have noticed things in movies. Points there.
Like this. So...
Like what?
Let me go...
It's Kat Kerr's kin? Absolutely. I definitely picture her as one of Kat Kerr's.
Let me get the picture. So, here's the guy, right?
Yes, that's the guy. He's a guy. I see the guy. The guy? You guys see the guy, right?
Do you guys remember this guy?
No, I don't remember this guy. But maybe it's because I'm only seeing his back and a fucking giant chest of drawers.
From Rosemary's Baby,
Well, I'm assuming.
you've seen the movie. He's the guy that shows them the apartment.
Okay.
Now...
Yeah, it's full of all kinds of spooky foreshadowing.
I never pay any attention to this guy.
No, why would you? You've only seen it hundreds of thousands of times.
He's like not even important.
Apparently he is.
There's too many other important things going on because you're looking at this apartment. Now, in my mind, when I'm looking at it, I know it's the Dakota where John Lennon was shot. They used the Dakota to film this movie.
Yes, years before.
And
the outside of it, the inside of it is a set. This is not at the Dakota.
All of them witches. I'm thinking you have to be a witch to live there.
You don't. I mean, I've never filled out the application, but I'm fairly certain you don't have to be a witch to live at the Dakota.
That's what I'm thinking.
Well, obviously you're a fucking lunatic.
At this point. This is one of the most occult buildings in New York. There's all kinds of occult buildings, but this movie, they call it the Bramford but it's the Dakota. And they talk about the history of the Bramford and how they eat children, and there were witches living there, and they sacrificed children. But what the
I thought you didn't pay attention to what this dude says.
hell? And she goes down in the laundry room a lot, and there's an underground. You can betcha. In that laundry room, that people have been there.
Yes, I'm pretty sure people have been in the laundry room at the Dakota. You know what draws them down there? Laundry machines.
And they know that laundry room.
Yes, they know the laundry room because you could take your laundry down there, but if you don't go pick it up, someone else will be wearing your underpants.
And I don't know, I feel like there's all kinds of things in this movie.
Yes, there are all kinds of things in this movie. This is true.
That we're not noticing. Well,
What did you notice? Get fucking on with it.
I think the universe is telling me.
The universe.
That I'm right. And here's the thing. No. I don't know whether they're spraying, and I have heard from many people that what they're spraying right now is healing. And somebody said it was HCQ. I don't know what it is, but I definitely am starting to feel better. And
Sorry, they're spraying hydroxychloroquine? Who's spraying this? Out of what? Your television set?
So the skies look better. The clouds are fluffier.
Oh, that's because Biden's president.
Yeah, sure, they spray this stuff. But what's going on up above? That's what I want to know.
Clearly, the Lord is happy that Trump is no longer in office. I'm sure you agree.
Could this solar flash be happening right now?
The solar flash? I don't know. Who the fuck is this guy? Get on with it.
And we don't know it. Because I've had neck aches. Chrissy was here, and she was talking about a lot of neck aches and back aches and stuff. And
what's this dude about?
Stuff. She was describing exactly what I've been feeling. And I've never had any of this stuff before. So, anyway, it's interesting. So,
no, it isn't.
So back to this.
Thank you.
This is how they do this shit.
They film it?
Because we don't pay attention to this.
We don't? You mean you don't?
Thing, right.
That's a set, by the way. That's not the actual building.
Here. First of all, I think it's a woman. Look at the baby.
What?
He got back, right? And no shoulders. And it's the smallest thing in the room. By the way, Mia Farrow.
Right.
Mia Farrow.
Oh, I'm a pharaoh, like of old. I see. Me Pharaoh. You Tarzan. You Jane. Mia Farrow. Ah, me and Napoleon. We're all lunatics.
Think about that.
I'm thinking about it. Pharaoh is a surname, is a hyper-corrected form of Farrer or Farrar, an occupational surname for a blacksmith or an ironworker, an old name of an early medieval English and French origin. The name derives from the Middle English and Old French terms farrer, farrier, furrer, hafar, or farrar, meaning smith. Mia Smith, great.
I got a whole list of names.
Yes, apparently, Jesus Christ.
And it's pretty amazing.
Is Dave Farrow on the list? He holds the Guinness Book of World Records record for memory. Just so you know.
When you start looking at the names, boy, do they ever leap out at you.
Wow, especially if you're a lunatic.
So,
get on with it.
So, back to this.
Yes, the guy's got a big ass.
You don't notice him.
Well, I certainly will now.
But right now, you can look right now at the ear.
What about his ear?
And it looks very much connected all the way down to the chin. So let's take a look at what I saw yesterday, and I was able to capture it in stills. This guy. This was a normal shot of him. Now, the interesting thing about this... But
hold on a second. Hold on. Let's see. Charles Grodin. Where is he? Yeah. That's Elijah Cook Jr. There he is. Elijah Cook Jr. Died in 95, bless his heart. Very talented guy. Worked like crazy. Hold on. Shit. Hold on. I gotta squeeze the page down so I can actually fit it on the screen. Let's see. Here's his IMDb. The pint-sized actor, picked because he was teensy. He was very small, diminutive even. There you go. Let's see. Let's look at some of his credits, shall we? He was on Magnum P.I. Aha! The Man Who Broke 1,000 Chains. He was in Alf, Alien Life Form. Huh? You don't think they just hire anybody? He was in The Fall Guy. Treasure. It came from Midnight Clear as Mr. Bibbs. He was on Whiz Kids, the series. Insight. The Champ. Switch. He was on SWAT. He was in Blackula. Aha! He was in Messiah of Evil. That's the dead giveaway, is Charlie. Messiah of Evil. A young woman goes searching for her missing artist father. Her journey takes her to a strange California seaside town governed by a mysterious undead cult. Rump, rump, rum. He plays Charlie. Playing alongside the likes of Pretty Gloria Stewart or a young pre-Oz Wizard of Oz Judy Garland. Casting directors would soon enough discover his flair for portraying intense neurotics and spineless double dealers. He's the dude who rented.
Particular shot, and I'll go through.
Again, he looks completely normal. You fucking lunatic.
Series is. I want you to get a load of his face.
Yeah, he's a character actor.
They're showing you as his actual face.
His actual, yes, which is clearly not his face. It's someone else's. It's out of a rubber mask drawer.
The really creepy part.
Yes, it's in the movie called Rosemary's Baby, and he's playing a creepy character.
It's like he knows, right?
It's like he knows that he's being filmed. Like he finds his light and everything.
He knows that they're thinking about having a child.
He's supposed to, fucko. It's in the script.
He smells the child. He smells it, this guy does. He's one of them.
This isn't Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, fucko.
And here's what I saw. And I had to go back and say, did I just see what I thought I saw?
Okay, I'm almost done with this lady. But holy shit.
Because what they're saying is, she says, oh, this would make a great nursery. And he's practically salivating when she says that.
He's part of the conspiracy to get her there to have the baby in the building.
The ears are really weird. This guy's really weird looking.
He's a character actor.
And look at him.
Yes. What about him?
He's looking over. He's
looking over.
Anyway, he's looking over when she says that. He's eyeballing back and forth, back and forth, back and forth with this look on his face.
He's watching the other actors perform. Let me guess. He looks at whichever one is talking. It's a shitty actor thing.
So when I first noticed it, I noticed this. Look at his tongue.
And?
He's tongue flicking.
Oh my God.
When he lets them in. And he ends up like this and even more. So they're looking at the house.
By the way, tongue flicking is a problem. Tongue flicking. So Rudy Giuliani and Greg Kelly are devil worshippers at this point. Is that what? Okay. That's what I'm thinking. So for the record, all QAnon should freak out at Greg Kelly and Rudy Giuliani because they do nonstop tongue flicking.
And he just opened the door and he's tongue flicking.
Right, because it's hard to open the door and he's like, because the door's stuck.
Now, it looks like Guy
Martin Landau
Woodhouse Don't think there's not something in that. That's his character's name. Guy Woodhouse, okay?
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Not Stone Obelisk. No. Woodhouse.
You really got to look at these names. Guy.
Why?
It looks like Guy is noticing the tongue in this, which is weird.
Or there's a scene going on and the guy just said something and he's reacting to how weird the guy is because he's acting really weird on purpose.
Weird. And me.
Listen to me engaging with this numbnuts. Yes, this is Ginny Thomas doing this video.
Pharaoh is walking in this around this dingy kitchen, okay?
Okay.
Now up here's the shot of this guy's face.
Uh-huh.
And you could see here the shape-shifting thing is starting to happen.
What? You mean age?
Because this is what happens. Their lips get this, you could see it right in the movie. Right in the movie. I never noticed this guy before. I never even hardly looked at his face or
100,000 times she's watched
anything. And then, when he walks further through, look what he's doing. Oh my God. I couldn't believe I was seeing this.
Why?
I've seen this movie 100,000 times, people.
And
there he is again, doing it again. Dear God.
Yeah, Mike Lindell does this all the time.
Now, this is that scene where she says it would be good for a nursery, and he loves that.
Yeah, it's in the script, dummy.
He loves that. And what the hell is going on here?
They're aging him. He's got makeup on to make him look older. They use glue to make people look older. And then when they take it off, you look younger.
And look, Guy, look at Guy. Look at Guy's eyes and look at this guy's face as they're talking about the possibility of making it into a nursery. So you notice Guy was looking at Rosemary.
Oh my fucking God, this is tiresome.
In the last one.
All right, this is, I'm done with this, by the way. I had to dive into this. This is where a lot of this, that's, Ginny Thomas spends her whole fucking days watching, her entire day watching shit like that. No question. As John Cassavetes, thank you, not Martin Landau. Yeah, I couldn't tell in the other picture. It looked like Martin Landau in the other shot. Let's see. By the way, Elijah Cook, the guy in that, was in The Big Sleep, The Maltese Falcon, Rosemary's Baby, House on Haunted Hill. He was a regular on Perry Mason. Let's see. The dude just worked nonstop as a TV actor. Holy shit. And he won the Silver Medallion Award in 1981 at the Telluride Film Festival in U.S., and he shared it with John Carradine, Margaret Hamilton, and Woody Strode for character actor. He won a Silver Medallion Character Actor Award. Yeah, it's called a micro-expression, exactly. Jesus Christ. But that's, if you look at BitChute, which is this shit right here. This is where Stu Peters has his show. We have never found a cave painting of a salad, refuting the critics, quote mining, and okay, Richard. The CIA, FBI, and Freemasons pulled off an entire city gun control psyop, Sandy Hook. Right there you go. That's the thing. All quacked up. Lady has a problem with parallel parking. She's getting help from another lady. Hilarious ending. Okay, that's just comedy. The Israeli lobby, a danger to the world. Former Prime Minister Imran Khan claims U.S.-backed regime change in Pakistan. Yeah, that's because he's an asshole. Let's get it together. Cory Booker makes gun control admission that will piss off every Democrat in America. I don't know if that's true. How the world works in 6 minutes. Black Pigeon speaks. How does the work? Do we dare? How does the world work? In 6 minutes.
What I'd like to do is introduce you to a very insightful infographic that I stumbled upon recently. Now, what it does is put together many of the layers of governance and how they work in tandem to manufacture the consent of the ruled.
Dun, dun, dun!
It's called the Global Public-Private Partnership, and
it's the GPPP.
I will be explaining the hierarchy of its tiers and layers.
I'm already bored.
Within the partnership. But first, a word from my sponsor, and that sponsors me. Get these cool new designs and help support which ultimately controls the money supply and thus global markets, trade, and national economies.
Bullshit.
The BIS coordinates the various national central banks that coordinate government monetary and physical policy.
No, it doesn't.
In their assorted countries.
No, it doesn't.
Working with these banks are the global representative groups or high-level think tanks.
Okay, this is just like feedback loop shit. Oh God, these people are so. How do people in these cults and get sucked into this shit? How do they not just get bored after a while? Is there enough? Huh? Did you notice? I bet you didn't know. Aha. Not Ginny, it was a joke. Yes, I was kidding. That was not Ginny Thomas. That was basically the kind of stuff that Ginny Thomas watches. The gup is what he's warning us about. The gup. Fear, you think so? And aliens? Occasionally, I'll love a good alien conspiracy, but I'm not seeing any of them let's see. Yeah. Most of them are just too goddamn boring. Boy. Sidebar with Dinesh D'Souza. Like, so many of these videos is crazy. Uh-oh. Gene Ho, Trump's photographer, won't talk about David Straight or a straight story about JFK Jr. being alive. Why not?
That's right. Q is the most trusted.
David Lester Straight is this guy.
There's only 200 naval pilots at any given moment on the face of this planet that are Q capable.
Q capable.
They're the most trusted.
Uh-huh. They can fly a airplane in their own basement.
They can carry a nuclear weapon. No one else can. I heard that going off in my ear. Yeah, that's what happens when you talk about Q. Q is 6 military intelligence agencies led by the President of the United States of America.
Oh, all right. So Biden's running Q right now. Good. Okay. Well, I mean, obviously, Biden's not the real president. He's in a Amazon film set of the... Never mind.
And a very, very special man that is helping.
Who's that very special man?
Who currently serves as the Vice President of the United States of America.
Kamala Harris is a man?
And it was kind of fun to be on that helicopter that dropped him off on Mount Rushmore so he could stand on George Washington's head.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. JFK.
You're welcome. What's that? John F. Kennedy, Jr.
All right. I thought Kamala Harris looked familiar. I always thought it was because she was the Attorney General of California, but I guess it was just because she looked that much like JFK Jr.
I got the privilege of being on Don Jr.'s helicopter.
Uh-huh. And Don Jr., JFK Jr., what's the difference at this point?
With Gene Ho. Gene Ho is President Trump's photographer.
Mm-hmm.
And
obviously needs to be fired.
And John Jr. on July the 2nd of last year.
Who he's not allowed to photograph?
And we just flew him up on top of Mount Rushmore.
And dropped him off? Is he okay? Has anyone checked on him? Did he have a parachute? How'd he get down? Rope ladder? What happened?
Dropped him off and let him walk out there, and Gene took a picture.
Do you have a copy of the picture?
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, do you have a copy of the picture? Can you put the picture up?
Yeah, it's coming.
Yeah, any day now. Oh, this is frozen.
Absolutely. So it's very, very interesting.
Yeah, it's so interesting. So tell us, Gene, did you you dropped off did you drop off JFK Jr. on Washington's head?
Tell us now.
Tell
I've
us.
been watching.
I'm very wondering.
David
Yes.
Straight. I don't know too much about him. He's new to me. I've been watching him. What can you tell us about him? And are you in touch with him?
I will tell you this when it comes to that. And just so you know, everyone in the United States is asking me about that, asking me about JFK Jr. and all of that stuff.
And
it is a resounding no comment on any of that. There might come a time that I'll speak in the future, but I'm going to tell you right now, anything to do with JFK Jr. is a 100% resounding no comment.
Yeah, because how are you supposed to make money off these lunatics if they know you're full of shit?
So you don't believe, I mean, you don't want to even say, you know.
No, he said 100% no comment, okay?
From yourself that.
No.
Look, JFK Jr. is this tall and he lives inside Hunter Biden's laptop. That's all I can say.
No, 100% no comment.
100%. Excuse me, by saying 100%, you're clearly commenting.
Okay.
Okay.
It's cool. It's cool. I hate to ruin the chemistry between me and you. No, just it's no comment.
Okay. How about all of the you know, how has he impacted you, and what did you learn from him that you liked?
About Donald Trump?
No, JFK Jr., fucko.
Sorry?
Yeah. Oh, you're talking about Donald Trump?
No, but sorry, about David Straight.
Oh, no comment at all with David Straight. No comment at all with JFK Jr. No comment at all with South Dakota. By the way, I know what you're talking about, and everywhere I go, people ask me about that. So
no worries. So we won't go into that then. Why don't we talk about?
Well, I feel like I've learned so much. This is a family channel, so this is a Wendy's. I mean, obviously, this dude, Gene Ho, Trump's photographer, 100% Trump will be back. I don't know when this was recorded. Let's see. Gene Ho, JFK Jr. I know I'm going over tonight, but I can't do a show tomorrow, so. Mayor Q. The merchandise website of Eugene Ho, a Myrtle Beach mayoral candidate, includes a wholesome tagline on party. Mayor Q. Oh, that's why. Here you go. A far-right candidate caught scrubbing QAnon ties from website. Thank you. This is my final. Eugene Ho is running as a pro-Trump, anti-vax, law and order candidate, but he built his following with an even darker message. Gene Ho with Donald Trump, whom Ho photographed extensively during the 2016 campaign. The merchandise website of Eugene Ho, a Myrtle Beach mayoral candidate, includes a wholesome tagline. Our mission at Patriot 45 began simply enough to provide patriotic and Jesus-loving goods that are made in the USA. That's not quite where it began, however. Back in 2020, when Ho was building a following among the MAGA faithful, Patriot 45 had a slightly darker inclusion in its tagline: to provide patriotic Q and Jesus-loving gear that is made in the USA. You know, he took the Q part. The Q-lovin' is a reference to QAnon. Okay, blah, blah, blah. QAnon, there were mugs bearing the slogan, Wiggy Wigga. Where we go one, we go all, the official mantra of the far right, QAnon. Party 45, tank tops and blazing with Get Quoke, Woke Quoke. A t-shirt that said, enjoy the show with Q and a popcorn logo. Trump Kennedy 2020. All of that is gone now. The site, which Ho's wife Nadine's email address is in contact section, is still prominent on his link tree. Now features a fairly straightforward amalgam of MAGA-related detritus. It's a copy of Ho's book, Trumpography, How biblical principles paved the way to the American presidency, in which Ho, who touts himself on his Facebook page as a personal campaign photographer for Trump, shared his insights with the president from his time on the trail. There's an oil painting of Trump pumping his fist authoritatively, and T-shirts labeled Gene Ho for mayor. Ho is definitely a sign of Q's infiltration in the local office, where usually low turnout elections don't make a ton of effort to win, just name recognition. Ho's political journey began. Okay, blah blah blah. Anyways, that's that guy, but no comment. That's why no comment, because he was more than likely running for mayor at that point. Didn't want to disenfranchise the Qs and the maggots. But there you go. Yeah, that's Q Snatch. That's him in person. All right, I went way over tonight, but I figured I'd just tag on that weirdness at the end. That is BitChute, as we know it currently. It's amazing to me how little attention BitChute gets when the majority of the Q stuff that's happening online happens on that site. And it's just as available as anything else. So the idea, anytime somebody tells you that people's free speech has been, hampered by any of these assholes, any of the stuff you see on, like not being allowed on YouTube or any of that kind of shit is nonsense, because you can post all of it on BitChute. The only thing you can't do is make the advertising funds that they make off of there. That's all. Anyways, I'm going to let you guys go. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for hanging around. Thanks for letting me go off into a bizarre corner. We'll do a needle drop on some of that shit occasionally. Palate cleanser, please. Let's see, moms. Let's see if I can. I don't know all the cats. We already had a cat gathering. Let's see what could be a palate cleanser at this point. Will this help? Look, it's Tack. It's my character from my cartoon on Nickelodeon, Tack and the Power of Juju. He kind of looks like me if you think about it. He really does. Just me with purple eyeliner. Hold on one second. I'll show you something cool. What do we have that's cool? It can be a palate cleanser. Oh, this is pretty cool. I've had this for a long time. This is a real satin robe worn by one of the guys, I don't know which one, in Kiss, on the set of Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park. And I've had it in storage for a long time, and I finally got it out to like hang up in the house. I need to put it on a display, but I got to put it behind some stuff that will keep the fabric from withering. But this is from Casablanca Records. Check that out. Yeah, it's a... No, I will not. Do I have a tickle trunk? No, I do not. What else? Something else cool that can be a palate cleanser. This is the one of the weirder things. Hold on. I'm just saying, nerds can be pervy too. And these are my Star Trek binders, or Star Wars binders, the kind that they used on Chewbacca. Ta-da! I've had these for a long time too. We got them a long time ago. I'm just saying. Yeah, they're as I would be shocked if every pervy Star Wars fan doesn't have a set of these, and you can let yourself out of them pretty easily. I'm amazed that they have them, whatever. But isn't that cool? Tickle Me Trump doll. I don't have a Tickle Me Trump doll. I'll tell you what I do have though. Where'd it go? I got it out and I put it around in the thing. Hold on. Where are you? Where'd he go? Where did there's something around. Where'd I put it? I'm gonna be like wandering around looking in here. Well, here, I bought these in Mexico years ago. These are wrestling characters that I got for Ethan that I've had forever. In just random Mexican wrestling characters that you can buy for like 25 cents. My safe word is, yeah, that's exactly right for these things. My safe word is, yes, very Nacho Libre, these guys. This guy has a green cape on, but it's because it's green, it creates it blue screens everything out. So, all right, that was your palate cleanser for tonight. Is that better? Does that help? A little bit of silly. And then on my desk, just out of view, Robbie the Robot, who's been sitting here the whole time. I got this out so my kid could play with it. Danger, Will Robinson. Danger. Danger, Will Robinson.
Podcast.